Good evening and welcome to Fan TV, the show that football fans are talking about. Yes, I am back to my regular Wednesday night slot here on the lime green sofa, and what a show we have got in store for you tonight. Last night, Justin Lee Collins was here and opened the show with a conversation about piles, which is a strange topic for a football chat show, but as the chat developed with Amanda and Anwar, it turned out that they had the answer, and the answer was safe standing inside stadiums. Our QPR fans jumped ship, and so Justin went straight to his old mates, Punjabi Rams Pav and Anish. Now, the Derby County fans were not happy with him forgetting to wear his Punjabi Rams badge and revealed that there is a forfeit for this crime against football. Justin said that I can choose it. And a little bit later on tonight, I will reveal what I have chosen for Justin Lee Collins to do. Next up, it was author and Leeds United fan Tim Marshall. Unfortunately, we can't say the actual title of his latest book live on air, but suffice to say, if you insert the words bar stewards after you dirty Northern, you'll get the drift. The guys enjoyed trading football chants for a while and even managed a few minutes of chat about Tim's team. And then Chris Darwin made his usual appearance to fill us in on his tales from the top flight from a rather chilly looking Spanish balcony, plus Kenny Ken popped up for a chat as well. And don't forget, he'll be with us for his usual rant tomorrow evening with Justin. Let's just hope that he remembers his trousers this week. Justin polished things off with a couple of the lads from Celeb FC and a rather dodgy Scouse accent. Don't think Chris was too impressed with that, but Rob certainly found it amusing. That was last night. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Absolutely. Well, one of our other presenters, Toby Tarrant, his dad is Trevor McDonald. Oh, you knew. Very quickly, we've got 10 seconds. Who did you play for?
West Ham, Bristol Rovers, Barnet, Sheffield
Wednesday. A promising career cut short due to a significant pile problem. Basically, varicose veins of the anus. Welcome back.
And I'd say that the atmosphere was not as good as what it is in the Kop.
I think your daughter's calling you. Sorry.
She is, yes, you come to say hello.
Oh, yes. Which football team do you support, Layla?
Balotelli.
She likes Balotelli.
What's your favourite football team? How old's Layla, Peter?
4.
Layla, do you like football?
Tell them you play football, don't you?
Yeah.
What team?
Liverpool!
So you're saying, Amanda, that your words, not mine, that pile sufferers like Anwar are being forced to stand up whether they want to or not?
Absolutely. It's not on, is it? It's just pilism.
It's pilism. That's what Amanda's called it. It's pilism. Is it Mbop Hansen? Mbop, bop, bop, mbop, shoo-ba-da, bop, mbop, bop, bop, ooh, yeah, mbop. And I'll stop doing that now. So no one's joining in with me, Arta. Awful. Pat, back to you. Hanson were a band, 3 young guys who were brothers, long hair. No?
Oh yeah, I just realised you started stuff.
Thank you. Unbelievable.
You look like their gran.
You should have stayed here, burger. I love it.
I've got another one.
Have it gone.
Huddersfield Town, they had Lee Novak. We've got Novak. Our carpets are filthy. I mean, it's genius, isn't it?
It's brilliant. It's wonderful. I love that. Hey, Tim, we've got a quick tweet in for you. Have a look at this. This is from Abigail, friend of the show, our Swansea fan, Abigail. One of my favourites is Austin is our hero. He's solid as a rock. He plays in front of Willie, who's got a massive quality there.
We're talking about Man United and how I want to talk about David Beckham, and Adidas yesterday announced that they were relaunching these football boots. Are going to be new ones, but these are originals from 2002, Adidas Predator Manias.
What size are they, Rob?
They are my size 10.
Thank you so much. I'm a size 9, but I'll just stuff them with socks and I'll take those home. I'm living the dream. That is beautiful.
So we'd want to sit them on the table,
for me to
show
take
them off.
At home.
No,
that's
just
lovely.
on the table.
Honestly, I'm made up on a personal level. Thank you so much. They'll be on eBay tomorrow.
That was yesterday's show with JLC, but now on to tonight's with me. Charlton seems to be a rather unhappy place to be right now. The fans want to see the owners removed from the club, mock funerals, fake resignation letters, and letting pigs fly. I'll be asking the guys all about Card and what they represent in just a sec. Also, Wolves and QPR do not seem to be faring well in the Championship at the moment. Only a few points above the relegation zone. They play each other in just 2 games' time. I think both teams will be wanting to start a little bit of a run before they meet. During our Wolves and QPR chat, I will have Clinton Skyping in to give us our regular bit of Newcastle news. They are top of the league and unbeaten in 8. At least there's one happy Clinton out there today. Yes. Back for their regular slot with me, and I have missed them. It's the guys from Football Fancast. They are here to talk all about the world of fantasy football from last weekend and picking out some of the key players who have been selected for international duties. Then Gianluca will be here at 9 to do his thing. He'll be giving us all the latest gossip coming out of Italy, and then Swansea fan Gareth will be coming on to change the subject back to the Prem with Gianluca's Arsenal at the top, Gareth Swansea right near the bottom. These two teams couldn't be any more different at the moment. Also, Nathan Staples will be Skyping in from the south coast of France. Sorry, Mansfield. He's going to be Skyping in from Mansfield with an update on what is happening in the French leagues and with the international side as well. That is all to come, but let's first bring out my first guest, Nathan and Tom. Come on, Nathan and Tom. Here we go, chaps. Hello, chaps. How you doing, all right? Good to see you. How are we doing, all right? How are we doing? Take a seat.
Out there somewhere.
Put the pig in. Put the pig in.
Put it there.
Put it in there. Put it in there. Put it in there. Well, I wonder where's the best pride of place for him. Let's
I'll try to put it on top.
Let's nudge him towards the end there. We'll talk about the pigs in due course. We'll talk about that. But let's focus on the pitch matters, although those were on the pitch for about 8 minutes.
Took a while to clear them off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on the pitch, lost in the Checker Trade Trophy, 4-3 on Pens versus Colchester. You're knocked out now.
Absolutely
you look devastated.
Yeah, that was a shame, wasn't it?
Never mind, back in the league.
I mean, that trophy is, it's been taking a lot of flack. I mean, it's a pointless exercise, that trophy, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't see why they've made the change they have. They've said it's like a trial, and they're going to make changes again. I think they have to, because it doesn't work. And I think the idea of getting the youth team players from the Premier League, it's a nice concept to get that English experience up, but it just doesn't work because we're forced to play pretty much a full-strength team when we've got leagues to concentrate on. So, yeah, we're glad to be shot at that, I think.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't think there's anyone that's been knocked out of that trophy that's shedding any tears about it.
There were 2 teams yesterday that had to have a penalty shootout, and they were both already out.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Even if we won yesterday, there's still a possibility of us just not going through anyway, because Southampton, wasn't it? So
yeah.
It was just like, just play a game if you want.
Yeah.
have a penalty shirt at the end and then see what happens. That's what it was, really.
It's an exhibition match where you have to pay to go and watch.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is that the Johnson's Paint Trophy, which was its former self, I used to love that trophy. You know, it was a day out at Wembley. It was something for League 1 and 2. Now it's going to be Southampton under-23s versus Everton under-23s in the final at Wembley. I mean, nobody wants to go and see it.
So it was like it had teams like Oxford and Scunthorpes of the world that had a chance of going to Wembley, wouldn't it? Whereas now, like you said, it's going to be a Southampton versus. I don't know who the other teams are in there, but it's going to be the under-23s, you'd think. But
I think, especially for someone like us as well, when you get relegated, you've got pretty much nothing to look forward to. But that's that one thing. You think, well, at least in that trophy, maybe we'll get to Wembley, and that's not a chance you get in the Championship.
No, yeah.
And that's just been taken away as well. So
I
nonsense.
completely agree. No, it's a ridiculous tournament. Also, the FA Cup faring better. Well, you're through the first round anyway. Beat Scunthorpe 3-1 in the first round. Only 4,000 fans were at the game. Does that show where your priorities lie, or just that the fans are just disillusioned with the club, or is it a bit of all of the above?
There was probably 4,000 more than I expected going to the game.
Really?
Yeah, because there was talks about people not going to the game and stuff, weren't there? But through to the next round, got a glamour tie against MK Dons.
It's a big one.
Yeah. So we got them, and then hopefully, if we get through that game, get a big team, maybe like Spurs or something away. That'd be nice, but we've got to beat MK first, which. The way we are at the moment, we sort of Jekyll and Hyde, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
So,
Remains to be seen.
I think we're all hoping we can, because obviously we'll go on to talk about the protests, but if we get a big team at home, that's a chance to maybe get it on telly and really ramp those protests up. So that's what we're hoping for.
Really, it shows where the priorities are, though, that you don't even think about, it'd be good to play Tottenham. It's a good chance to advertise our protests.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Have you noticed that? I mean, when you're in the Premier, if you were doing a protest like this, the newspapers would be all over it, wouldn't they? Is it difficult now you're in League One for people to actually care, like outside of Charlton?
I mean, it's been hard work, but you've had certain sort of media outlets that have made it a lot more easier for us to sort of get our word out. You know, we had the mixed protest with Coventry, who've got their own problems, and obviously the Pigs, the Beach Balls last season. But obviously, like TalkSport and stuff, have given us an opportunity to sort of make a platform for us to sort of get it out there, and that's how I suppose this has sort of come along. So because we never really have had this before, because we was only a small club called Charlton. So
yeah, exactly. Well, you're very welcome here. You're very, very welcome. We're going to take our first break. That first section absolutely flies by. We are going to launch our first poll of the evening. It's been already running for a couple of hours on Twitter at FanTVUK. Thank you everyone that's voted already, and we can have a look at it here, how we're getting on. So the poll is, following the US decision to elect Donald Trump as their new president, what's been the worst decision in football history? Very topical one there. It is the World Cup in Qatar. Is it Sepp Blatter as FIFA president? Is it David Moyes as Manchester United manager? Or if you have any others, then please feel free to comment. We've had, I think people have been tweeting us some suggestions already as well for some of the worst decisions in football. Going to Claude. Allowing more than champions into the Champions League, destroying the other European competitions. There's a good shout from Claude. Although, as an Arsenal fan, they'd never be in it, so I don't know why. I don't know why he's complaining about that. That poll is going to run for another hour, so keep your votes coming in and any other comments you've got for us. We will see you in a couple of seconds, and we'll be talking flying pigs with the Charlton fans, so don't go anywhere. Cheers, guys. Flies by then. In the break, we're discussing the fact that the Wealdstone Raider is now married to one of the Saturdays. That's amazing. How did that happen?
He's done well. He's done well.
Punching a little bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done all right for himself.
I think she might be.
She's just clinging on to him for his career, really, isn't she? He's probably had more Christmas number ones than she has.
Probably right, yeah.
I'm going to start throwing pigs at you now.
Oh,
Okay.
cheers, thanks.
You could eat them, but I don't know how long they've been back.
Yeah, I don't know what you
And
had
if
to
over the course of the next 20 minutes you bore me, I'm just going to throw them more. That one was quite aggressive. Let's talk about the Pigs Will Fly protest. We touched on it before the break. You did it with Coventry, which I thought was absolutely awesome. So obviously Coventry in League One at the minute, they're bottom, or right down at the bottom of League One at the minute. So how did that come about? How did the fans decide that they were going to target this game and get their point across?
I think, obviously, cards or maybe not obviously for people who aren't Charlton fans, but Cards set themselves up a couple of years ago to start, or last year I think, to start protesting. And they've been really organised, they've been brilliant, their PR's been amazing. And they brought it to the Coventry fans as far as I'm aware. Obviously we know what's going on with them and Sisu, and probably worse than us. And obviously started talking together, and the way the sort of home pubs and away pubs work near the Valley made for quite a good... We had us marching down the street, them marching up the street, met together and marched down to the ground together as well. So it worked really well, and Coventry fans were brilliant, and yeah, really good day.
Yeah. You guys were saying it was a great day out. I mean, how did it work as well, the pigs? How do they get dispensed before the game? Like, the card fund it?
Yeah, so we've got, there's a protest fund. I think there's over about £40,000 in there at the moment, which people donate for. And then if you have a protest idea, you send it through, and you know,
just for burning effigies.
If it's feasible, we'll
anything you take out the budget.
Yeah, so literally in a cardboard box, handing them out. Police were taking them, stewards were taking them, and then you try and get them in through little orifices and crevices in your body. Won't say where.
There's an image.
I elected to have mine taken away rather than do that.
Yeah.
So.
I went to try and get in there.
Got a tail.
But yeah, so you just sort of.
Oh, there we go. There's the first pig thrown at me for the evening.
I'm sorry anyway.
Bombarded here. I feel they're targeting me here.
But yeah, so you just sort of went in, and then kick-off happened, and then a couple of seconds, and then just from every angle was just pigs flying. Like when we'd done the beach balls before, it was easy because they could just kick right on the nugget. Before they could just like kick them off, but these, well, it's hard to sort of kick off. They're small and they're.
And I've seen your players play. They wouldn't get anywhere near kicking off.
Yeah.
Declan Rudd, although he's a good keeper, tried to catch one, but he dropped it.
Yeah,
that was a shame.
But
the other thing is as well, we had stress balls and beach balls last season, and they obviously come from 3 sides of the ground. But this time, because Coventry fans had them as well, it was literally all 4 sides.
Oh, really?
So it looked pretty good from where we were.
Yeah. There was a great tweet that went out, I think, from the Charlton official account or something, saying, "Sorry, the game's have to stop. Pigs on the pitch" or whatever.
Yeah. Not live ones.
That was what they followed up with, wasn't it?
Yeah, budget, not live. 40 grand doesn't cover live stock.
Yeah, a bit steep for that one.
And the thing is as well, although that's the club's tweet, that got picked up everywhere, and again helps with the PR because people go, well, why, and start looking into it and find out about the protest. So yeah, it was definitely by far the most publicised one we've had.
Yeah, no, it did go very, and like you say, the card have got an amazing. Whoever's running the PR ideas, they're right on top of it. Is there an element? So you had the beach balls and the pigs and stuff. There was a point where, you know, you were chanting after Lee Novak's late winner a couple of weeks ago that we want Roland out at the chairman. Does there not come a point where it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, this? And that, you know, as a player going there, do you want to play in front of that atmosphere? Are you going to pick up results in front of that atmosphere? Do you see where I'm coming from there? I mean, do you feel like the fans' attitude is impacting the team?
I don't think so, because I mean, last year we protested against Middlesbrough, and they were top and flying, and then we ended up beating them at home.
Oh, really?
The first ever protest was was it against Sheffield Wednesday or Forest?
Yeah.
Won that game.
We did both of them and beat them both, I think.
So, yeah, so we've won both games. So I don't think it impacts the players, and I don't think it hinders any team. I think it's a pain in the bum for them. Of course it is, but that's the whole point of it. But it's not for the players. It's to get our views across and get in the media, and so people sort of say, well, what's happening down there? And to embarrass the owner and hopefully go where he should be going, and then not in South London.
I think over the last couple of years we've had players say that it's a difficult place to play anyway, just without the protest, because the atmosphere around it can be so poisonous, and because like when we won the other day, people leaving the ground, they're not even fussed about the result. People are not cheering goals like they used to. It's just everything now is about the owner out, and it wasn't like that even a year ago. There was some like scope for communication with them, but that's all just gone now, and now we just want them gone.
So give us the whistle-stop tour, if it were, of how come this owner's managed to harbour all this resent from the Charlton fans. Like I say, whistle-stop. I did all my research earlier and I went, right, well, we'll condense that down. How long's a piece of string?
We have got quite a short time, but I mean, the main vibe of it is Katri Mier, who I don't know how to pronounce her last name, might be wrong, but she's the CEO, and she's come out and said things like, every appointment's been correct. Even though when Roland took over, we had Chris Powell, finished 8th or 9th in the Championship. And they've seen that we've progressed, even though we're now languishing in the bottom half of League One. Attendances have gone down, down to 7,000 or something?
Season tickets dropped by 40%.
40% season tickets dropped. And now I just think they have no clue on how to run a football club or how to...
We touched on, I spoke to you guys before the show came on as well, that we've got fans coming on the sofa tonight constantly who are disillusioned with their owners and stuff. It's business people running Football Matters, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the most frustrating thing. And our owner was at I don't know if it was a fans meeting or something, about a month ago. That was the first time we'd seen him in ages because he hadn't been to a game since October 2014, I think.
Yeah.
And he came out in that and said, I'm not here more often because you only represent 1.5% of my business empire. And it's like, well, why are you here then? If that's all it is to you, like people here put their heart and soul into the club. Like it matters so much to fans and to like Chris Powell, an ex-player, comes back, club legend. It matters not just Saturdays, it matters all week for those people. And he's come in and said, well, you only represent 1.5%, that's why I don't bother turning up. How can, as fans, how can we take that?
So we sort of look forward to, well, we used to, not so much now, we used to look forward to going to Charlton, you know, a few beers with the mates and then go and watch the football. We won't win all the time, obviously, but it was a good day out, whereas, you know, Catriona was at the Web Summit in Dublin and said, you know, we were just customers, basically, and it wasn't. And we sort of know that we are customers, we're paying customers, but it's more than just a business. It's a club that we all sort of pay into. And going back to when we nearly lost the football club and a load of people put their own time and money into getting back to the Valley. And now it's just seeming to go in one way, which you're looking at people like Blackpool and that, which we don't want to get to.
Yeah.
And that's the heart gut.
I mean, the whole Football League ladder is filled with skeletons of former
exactly.
big clubs, isn't it? How big a percentage the card make up of the Charlton fans? I mean, are there people sitting there going, when it takes 10 minutes to clear a bunch of pigs off the pitch, you know, there are people sitting there going, come off it, lads, I'm here to watch a game of football on Saturday. You know, I don't need you chucking pigs on the pitch.
There are, but there's less and less and less. I don't know exact numbers, but I think some of the marches have had 2,000 or 3,000 people on the marches, and if you look at the fact that we're getting maybe gates of 10,000, I think that's a rough indication. But yeah, even a year or two ago, there were more people that were, I think, a bit disillusioned with the protest, but the longer it goes on, the more people are getting behind it. And this year we've had some change, so we brought in Russell Slade, who's obviously got British experience. We brought in some players that got British experience. So I think from that point of view, there are some people that argue, well, look, maybe the owners are starting to change their tune, but there's plenty of people that still don't feel like that.
Yeah, I mean, the quickest turnaround is always results as well, isn't it? Winning games is the easiest way to...
Yeah.
But let's talk through your current squad. You touched on it there. I mean, the main one that everyone's talking about is Ademola.
What you call him, Addy?
Addy Lookman. Johnny Jackson came out and said it was inevitable that Charlton will lose him.
Yeah.
Man U, City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Everton, Palace, all linked with him. Is that a sad state of affairs to think that you're only ever raising a player up to go and play for somebody else? I mean, you lost John Joe Shelby as well at the age of about 16 or something to Liverpool, 17 to Liverpool.
It's all right. We've got a sort of history of, you know, Joe Gomez, who's went to Liverpool as well, but he's unlucky for injury. You've had Scott Parker, Lee Bowyer. We've always had Cole Jenkins. So we've always had that, but we're inevitably going to lose them. But it's just we should be at a higher level where we could probably have a bit more clout and say, no, we're going to keep them. But I was surprised when Lookman stayed at the last transfer window. But if we're not in that top six, he's going to go because you watch him play, not even for Charlton because it's League One, but even at England under-19, under-21s, he's a class above from everyone there. But you've got Ezri Konsa coming now, who Man City are linked with a young centre-back. And he's played, a handful of games.
I think it's brilliant that we can still produce those players, but I think the last 2 years, especially since Roland's come in, we've started to lose players just the first bid that comes in. So we lost Joey Goodmanson, who played for Iceland in the Euros at the summer. We knew we were going to lose him, but we took a relatively low bid. Jordan Cousins went to QPR. Again, a relatively low bid. I know he was nearing the end of his contract. So we were good because Lookman, I think there were a couple of bids at the end of the transfer window in the summer for Lookman, and he turned them down. So that's the one positive we can take from it. And if we can keep him this season, even if we go up, I have no problem with him going from his point of view because he deserves it.
Because he's on a long contract as well, so even if we do, we ain't going to be asking for peanuts. We can try and get some sort of money.
Yeah.
When you look at some of the prices for English talent that have gone to Premier League sides, hopefully we can try and get some more. But then,
do you think the issues in the boardroom as well are going to impact upon a player wanting to stay? I mean, I kind of went for your team earlier, and there's not too many names that have been there for a long time. Yeah. You know, someone like maybe Chris Solly or something, the exception rather than the rule. There's a lot of players. There's a very quick turnover there.
And Johnny Jackson as well is probably the main one. He's basically a hero amongst us fans because he just refuses to go. And I think the day we got relegated last season, he came out and said, "Well, I'm staying. Like, don't worry about that. I'm going to drag you through." And, you know, we don't really... The owner doesn't deserve players like that, really. And, Solly's another good example. Fox has been around for a couple of years now. those players, sometimes Fox in particular comes in for criticism, but what they're doing for the club, as I say, it can't be an easy place to play football. Is really impressive. But I think we've got the makings of a squad this year that we could build a more competitive side, and we could push for the playoffs. But as I say, as fans, I don't think that's really our main issue at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's. But I'm just thinking about Lookman. You know, it'd be more encouraged to stay if you looked.
I think.
Oh, you got a pig thrown at you again.
I think if Chris Powell was still here and we were down in League One and the ownership was different, I don't think Lookman would necessarily go.
No.
I think he's the sort of person that could convince him and say, look, stick around, I'll get you in the Championship, have a good season at that level, and you'll get an even higher move. But I don't think at the moment that's Roland's.
You just don't want to be in a predicament where you sort of know that they're going to go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like where you have, you know, probably like QPR and Wolves are later, they have a player and they've got a bit more clout to say, no, you want him, you pay ridiculous money. Whereas us, we're like,
I mean, it's
£1
very
million
strange to
or so,
see.
do you know
It's
what I mean?
very rare.
So-
They normally and ah about it until they're officially out the door and say, "Oh no, you know, he loves the club." But for him to say it's inevitable, we will lose him. It's a pretty
I think we know.
damning critique, isn't it? We have had some more suggestions in on Twitter at FanTVUK. So we asked you earlier, following the US election of Donald Trump as their new president, what has been the worst decision in football history? I don't like Cristiano, but the Nani offside decision on that amazing goal will be a bit for me. Do you know the ones they're talking about there? I mean, it's not really a bad decision. He was a mile offside, wasn't he? It was just a bad decision by Nani to header it in, wasn't it?
no, it's a bit strong for the worst decision in football.
Exactly.
That one's better.
Or Andy Townsend, that's another one. That's an even worse one.
Having Michael Owen as a commentator is a. What was your one there?
Or Andy Townsend.
Yeah, or
It's just
Andy
as bad.
Townsend.
Or say that McManaman's going up there now as well.
Or Mick McCarthy. Lampard's disallowed goal
Yeah, I was gonna
against
say that one.
Germany
Yeah.
as well.
Because we would have won that game, wouldn't we?
exactly.
Yeah,
We were all
exactly.
over
It was
them.
only
We're gonna win a
4-1.
World Cup though,
It's only
weren't we?
4-1. I love that. Thank you very much. Keep those coming in on Twitter at FanTVUK. We're going to carry on talking about Charlton in just a few moments' time, so stay with us. Sorry, guys. I've been Hi there, welcome back to Fan TV. I will have Nathan and Tom with me for another 15 minutes to continue our Charlton chat, but the rest of the show looks something like this. From 7:45, Wolves and QPR fans Mark and Tom will be here to lift the atmosphere after all the Charlton bashing, with their sides both just hanging above the relegation places. Maybe not with them either. During our Wolves and QPR chat, I will have Clinton Skyping in to give us our regular bit of Newcastle news. They are top of the table and on a 8-game unbeaten streak. Only going to rub that in slightly, I'm sure, Clinton, yeah? He's probably watching at the moment. And my boys James and Sam from Football Fancast are finally back with me. I have missed their fantasy football updates and predictions, and I hope they've got some right over the last week. Then Gianluca will be here at 9, giving us all the latest news coming out of Italy. Plus, Swansea fan Gareth will be coming on to get back firmly onto the Premier League. And Gianluca's Arsenal are flying, whilst the Swans are simply not. Also, Nathan Styles will be calling in with an update on what is happening in the French leagues and with the international side there as well. First, though, I think I'm right in saying we have our first Skype caller of the night. Oh, no, I've lied. I'm not. No, you haven't. Brilliant. Cheers. Well, he's coming back later. Exactly, yeah. No, back to Charlton. Might
lose some viewers, though.
Let's moan some more.
Yeah, let's turn off now. I feel a bit sad now.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Sorry. Come on, let's try and keep it upbeat. I can't really. There's nothing. Oh, the pig's being thrown again. Pig's being thrown again.
All right, Brian, Tom, I'm all right.
I want to talk about... you were talking on Chris Powell, and when we were sitting here in our production meeting beforehand going, it's only a couple of years ago Charlton looked quite good and maybe, coming back into the Premier League. How far back does it go? When did it all start going wrong for Charlton? Because I remember you beating my boys Liverpool in the Prem, Kevin Lisby hat-trick.
Oh, geez.
Great day.
Yeah, I remember that. At the Valley, I remember that fondly. Yeah, and there was a good team there. You had your Parkers, your Sean Bartletts, those sort of players. And now did it start when you got relegated, or is it a more recent...
I don't know, because it sort of went going Pete Tong when Curbs left, but I think when it started going really bad is that the Sheffield United game in the quarter-final, wasn't it? Yeah. When there was rumours that Powell was sacked sort of before the game was started from Roland.
Roland had called him, hadn't he, apparently, and said, you're playing these players.
Yeah.
And Powell said, well, no, I'm not. And the decision pretty much was made then.
Yeah, you had a goalie called Thuram, who's, I think, he's like a cousin or something to Lillian Thuram.
Oh, really?
Absolutely awful.
Did it?
Absolutely
Fell
awful.
far from the tree there, didn't it?
He literally just
I'd rather
turned
have
up.
Lillian in goal.
Yeah, he literally turned up at the training ground with his suitcase, and Powell's like, you all right, mate? He's just like, yeah, I'm playing for you, I'm in goal. And Powell's just like, what the hell is going on here?
This is when we had Ben Hamer,
Yeah,
who's
Ben Hamer.
now at Leicester on the bench behind Schmeichel, but still at a Premier League
So I
club.
think that was sort of the downfall, wasn't it? After, because that's when we knew this Roland was a sort of a Fruit Loop. But like now, it's like we had, like you said, we had Chris Powell, we had Jan Kermorgan, we had Michael Morrison, Dal Stevens, all players of which are playing top half Championship or bigger. So yeah, I think for me anyway, it was the Sheffield United game when Chris Powell sort of said, right, for no apparent reason, just thought, yeah, you're out the door.
I think,
sort of thing.
Powell was starting to get things back on track. Because like you say, when Kerbishley left, we obviously dropped out of the Premier League, and then we dropped into League One fairly quickly. And Powell stabilised it all, had a massive clear out over the summer, brought 14, 15 players in one summer, and we walked the league with like a record points tally that season.
Yeah.
Next season, okay, we had a bit of a surge at the end of the season, but we almost finished in the playoffs in the Championship. Roland buys us, and then ever since then, like Nathan said earlier, we've just dropped and dropped and dropped, and yet Catrien's coming out and saying every manager's been the right decision and we're making progress. Well, how are we making progress?
Yeah, I heard her talking on TalkSport earlier in the week.
Yeah.
She didn't cover herself in glory in that interview either.
No.
When you did go down from the Premier League, and obviously it was late as well. It was right at the end that you did go down.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that you'd get relegated twice to League One before you were back in the promised land?
No, the first time was bad enough, wasn't it? Like, I mean, I ain't going to mention any teams, but no disrespect, but going to some of the away games, you're looking around going, I was at Old Trafford a couple of years ago. And you're looking around and it's just like, well, then we got out of it and then I didn't anticipate us to be there again. I just thought it was, maybe it was complacency, but we're back there now, unfortunately, and I can see us, the way it's going at the moment, I can see us being there for a good couple of seasons.
Really?
Look at Sheffield United, they struggled to get out. So
Yeah.
that's where I think, unless something changes drastically, I think that's where we're going to sort of stay.
I think the other tough thing is when you do drop down to League One, it's all right in the Championship because there's so many, there's an Aston Villa and a Leeds and a Newcastle in there, but when you drop to League One as a Charlton or a Sheffield United, you've got such a target on your back. Every team that plays you as well, every team that plays you wants a piece.
We've seen that some of the teams that have beaten us or drawn with us this season, the likes of Rochdale, like they come to us and they were on a terrible run of form and they managed to get a win. And yeah, I think you're right that we're seen as a big team in that league still. And I think the difference this year, and again, I don't want to be too nice to the owner, but because we've got that British experience this time, that might help. But I think Nate's probably right. I don't think necessarily that we're going to go up this year.
Really? Let's look further on beyond the season then. 14th at the minute. Unbeaten on 4 going into this international break, not that it affects you, but unbeaten in 4. Were there signs of an upturn there? And the win in the FA Cup as well?
Yeah, I mean, in recent weeks, I mean, before we were playing one up top, weren't we? And we were playing five in midfield, but our central midfield isn't blessed with, youth or pace. So we've got quite, which is not their fault, but we weren't really creating enough goals, whereas recent times we've gone more sort of 4-4-2 with Nicky Jose starting, which is what we should be doing with a team. With the strikers we've got, we should be in that top 6.
Yeah.
Jose, Novak, McGuinness, Lookman, we should be, and Ricky Holmes, we should be more up there. So in recent times, I think since he's transitioned from 1 up to 2 up top, I think we've started getting the results that we should be getting. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting on Saturday because obviously we're on telly, but we've missed our international players. But because we're on telly, we can't call the game off. So.
Oh, really? Is that what happened?
So you have three players, don't you? So we're missing Lookman, McGuinness, and Bataka. But because we're on telly, you have to play it. So
yeah. Oh, really? I didn't think that. Yeah, of
Sky
course.
thinking of the fans again.
Yeah, I mean, that is, when it rains, it pours, isn't it? Talk about the people above the football fans making the decisions. That's absolute madness, isn't it? We'll get a couple of predictions due for the end of the season. But first, we have Peter, as promised, our Hull fan who is on Skype. Hello, Peter.
Good evening, Chair.
How are you doing, Peter? Are you all right?
Yes, not bad, thank you. Very, very heartened by our win the other day against Southampton, which we needed.
Well, that's why we wanted to talk to you, Peter. I mean, Hull, I have to admit, I'll put my hands up to be the first that said after that initial promising start to the season, having watched recent results, I thought, right, put them in 20th place now and send them down. I did think you were definitely the favourites for the drop. You switched to 3 at the back for the Southampton game and you beat them, and suddenly, when you're down there at the bottom, a win, suddenly you start looking up the table again, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's significant to look at the table now and see that between about, I think, 17th place and 10th place, there's only 4 points. So I think from our sort of long-term perspective, it's a case of staying in touch near the bottom, if we are at the bottom 3 or 4, and then hopefully with a new ownership and some money in January, we can boost the squad a little bit. And I think we have a sort of 50-50 chance of staying up. Don't write us off too early.
I wouldn't dream of it, Peter. I definitely have been doing that, exactly that, for the last 2 months. Mike Phelan, I mean, he kind of got the job off that start, and then obviously it went very sour after he signed the contract. You do see that quite a lot as well. It's quite a strange phenomenon. So how much of a relief would that win have been for him over the weekend?
Huge relief for him personally. It was his first win as permanent manager. Although he has had wins in the Cup, and we're in the middle of a pretty good run in the League Cup. We've got Newcastle at home in a couple of weeks' time, which will be a cracking Cup game, which perhaps, once again, perhaps we didn't really need that, because it may not particularly be a boost to our season. It may just end up with getting players injured. And we have a number of injuries at the moment. Both Will Keane and Abel Hernandez were injured at the weekend against Southampton. Hernandez will be out for about a month, and Will Keane could be out for much longer. So, just slightly worried about, despite being in the Cup, the impact that might have in terms of the depth of the squad.
You talked about the new owners as well. For Mike Phelan's sake, would that have been an extra cause of concern for him? Because maybe they're looking to bring in their own man, and really any more losses would have given them an excuse to do exactly that?
Look, it's a really strange one in terms of the new ownership at the moment, because the club has been up for sale for 3 years. Now, fairly dubious owners have constantly said the club's up for sale. And we're supposed to have had interest from a number of consortiums since about July time. But our current owners, the Alam family, seem to be dithering quite a bit. And we wonder if they're just sort of playing a bit of mischief and just playing a game of brinkmanship, because, the sort of figures that are being bounded about is that they want 130 million for it, and people are only offering 100 million, and there's a sort of deadlock there. So this business of new owners and being up for sale, no one really knows what on earth is going on. And people have been talking about new owners now for months, and nothing is really happening. We get glimpses of, there's a new bid on the table and we're heading for due diligence, but it's very unsettling still behind the scenes at Hull City.
I'm sure you guys can sympathise with dodgy behind the scenes.
You've got two guys there who I'm sure will know all about the sort of setup we have where, at the moment our fans are almost at an all-time low because they feel they're being completely hoodwinked by our owners and emotionally blackmailed because, although you will see the empty seats at the KCOM, I think the level of dissatisfaction is extremely high and a lot of people are going along with a heavy heart. You can't change your football club like you do your supermarket, can you? If you're being treated badly, it's not like that. You still go along most of the time because it's your club and you've been going for years. And it's like they've got you, sort of locked in there. It's emotional blackmail. They know people won't stop going in huge numbers. Some people are boycotting, but it's very clever. And I think we have to fight back as fans and show that we need to be valued still. We are a big part of football, even in 2016. And I'm sure the lads would agree with that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there, Peter. Absolutely spot on. I think the businessmen have been taking advantage of fans' loyalty for far too long in football recently. Peter, we're going to let you go, mate. We've only got a minute to go to the break. In one word, where are you going to finish this season?
I'll take 15th.
He'll take 15th. Oh. Cheers, Peter, mate. Thank you very much. Have a good night, mate. Thank you very much. Same question to you guys. Literally a number. Where are you going to come?
12th.
9th.
12th. No. There you go. You take that. You're excited about 9th. We've had a couple of tweets in. Twitter @FanTVUK. Thank you for getting in touch. England are making it now, letting Southgate near the top job. Worst decision in football. I don't think too many people will massively disagree with you. That was Kenny Ken, not like him to hold back. And I think, is that it? Yep. Oh no, one more. A certain aimer known to Roland. I can't ever say his surname.
Du Châtelet?
Du Châtelet, Barney Great Club and Roland at Roland out. A whole Twitter page dedicated to him. Go and give that a follow. Roman, time to go. If you've been moved by the Charlton fans on the Lime Green Sofas. Our time is up, guys. But thank you very much for joining us. And hopefully things have a bit of an upward trajectory from now. Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
thanks so much. Right, we'll see you in a bit. Cheers. Cheers. Hi there, the Charlton fans have left the lime green sofa. They've left a pile of Percy pigs that were thrown at them throughout their time here as well. Let's move straight on to a couple of clubs who are in similar predicaments to Charlton at the moment. It's our Wolves fan Mark and our QPR fan Tom. Come on, Mark and Tom. Come on, chat. How are you doing, sir? Good to see you. How are you doing, all right?
Hiya.
Good to see you. Take a seat. Looking very dapper, Tom, if I must say.
Came straight from work, so...
Came straight from work. What are you, funeral director?
PR executive, actually.
looking very suave, very suave. As you do, Mark, as well, by the way.
Thanks very much.
Looking lovely as well. I'm going to start at QPR, but feel free to pitch in as we go along discussing it. Just because QPR at the minute, I mean, I've Googled earlier. If you were to try and work out the shortlist, it's longer than the Ballon d'Or shortlist who your next manager is going to be. Some names here. Holloway was linked this morning, which is a bit of a surprise one. Now they're saying Gary Rowett's a big one from Birmingham. Paul Clement, Carl Robinson, Dougie Freeman, Sherwood. The list goes on and on and on. Does it seem a bit odd that they've sacked Hasselbank and seem to have absolutely no contingency plan in place whatsoever?
I mean, it's not odd that we've sacked a manager, but I was appalled by this decision. The problem with QPR for a long time has been off the field. I don't think necessarily the owners' heart's in the wrong place. I don't think that it's a personal vendetta. I just think that they don't know how to run things. And that's not necessarily a crime. We're not as upset as, let's say, Charlton or Plymouth or other fans have been, because I don't think it's they're doing it on purpose. I don't think that their heart's in the wrong place. I think that they want to do well at QPR, but they keep making the wrong decisions. And I think at some point you just got to hold your hand up and say, actually, we don't know what we're doing. We've put things in place to try and change that, bringing in Les Ferdinand, a fan favourite, a QPR legend, but at the end of the day, he was a forwards coach at Tottenham, and you employ him to be director of football. And director of football is a very difficult job. In England, it's not very common. He's suddenly supposed to go from coaching the forwards at Tottenham to signing players, to bringing in the right staff, hiring the right nutritionist, even down to that, and running of the football club, because the owners and the CEOs are money men, they're businessmen, and he's getting it wrong. Les Ferdinand's now hired two managers, Chris Ramsey and Jimmy Floyd. Neither has worked out. I have to admit, I feel very sorry for Hasselbank, because you come in halfway through a season when Ramsey was told originally, we've got a reduced expenditure, we've got to sort out FFP, so just, let's rebuild the foundations. We'll spend a few years in the Championship and we'll rebuild. Suddenly then, he sells all his best players and says, promotion is key. We're not going to do that, so they sack him and bring in Hasselbank. Fine. He peters out slightly better towards the end of last season. He's then given a summer where, again, we sell more players, we make a profit, everything off the field starts to look a little bit better, reducing the wage bill by half, which has been key for QPR. And
was that a lot leftover, almost mercenaries from the Premier League
Leroy
era?
Fer, and basically Leroy Fer, Matty Phillips, getting rid of all of them. We've only got Sandro left out of those. But we're now in November, and I think, things off the pitch are going okay. We're only 6 points off the playoffs now. It's not been great. The football hasn't been great, but we're okay. And we're sacking a guy who's had less than a year in a job, not a full season. He's had to shift half his players and try then on the cheap to sign more. When agents are trying to sting QPR for their recent years' activity, everybody thinks when QPR come calling, this is the moneymaker, and it's been very difficult. And then they've sacked him, and like you say, they actually sacked him after the Brentford game. They said, right, we'll give you the Forest game, we'll see how you get on. He was told 1-0 win wouldn't be good enough, and we drew 1-1, and he was sacked in a small room.
Yeah, that was a bizarre. So I heard this story. So they basically told him he was fired after you lost at home to Brentford. Yeah, and then kept him on and said, okay, you've got the Forest game to prove your worth, essentially. I
think the reason behind that was we've never won at Nottingham Forest. We've never won at the City Ground in now 34 maybe attempts. So I think they didn't want a new manager maybe coming in and losing that game. So it gives us the international break. But like you say, it doesn't look like there's any plans. The latest rumour is it's going to go to Holloway, who is our now second choice. We want Gary Rowett. Why he would join.
That's what I did. I did see that and think, why would he come away from Birmingham at the moment?
Money is the only answer, but if he wants to ruin his career, then fine. We want Clement, but you wouldn't leave Bayern Munich. We're due to come and sit at QPR. I know he's got connections with his dad at the club, but we wanted him last year and we weren't going to get him. And they've run out of options, and it's going because we don't want Sherwood. I mean, does anybody want Tim Sherwood?
Hey.
To come and,
hey, man in a gilet. You trust a man in a gilet always.
We was looking at the betting, weren't we, before we came on? And you've got all the regular, the regular culprits are all in there. Yeah,
they are. It is a who's who of Championship managers. It really is, isn't it?
But Holloway's a firm favourite now, isn't he?
Is he the ones? I know the fans really warmed to him when he was first there. He's a very likeable chap. Is he the ones he want? I mean, the old thing of never go back.
Ian Holloway is a QPR legend as a player and as a manager in probably the worst period of being a QPR fan. When we were in League One, we couldn't pay the electricity bill. A load of problems off the pitch just before the billionaires obviously came in, and he steadied the ship. There's a lot of problems. I mean, people think QPR got problems off the pitch now, but nothing to then. He took us up from League One, which saved the club, and was okay in the Championship. But then you look since then, we finished around 18th in the Championship, and this was over 10 years ago. Since then, we've had 12 new managers, spent near 600 million, and we're 17th in the Championship. So it's not working. I personally don't think it's the right decision, unless it's a kind of interim role. He's not going to be there for the next 3 years and rebuild it, but then what managers are. Rowett is who I'd like, but a lot of QPR fans had the problem with the negative football that Hasselbank was playing, and Gary Rowett's just as guilty of it.
Yeah, he is.
Came to QPR this year, Loftus Road and Birmingham were very boring to watch, but like you said earlier, results, that's all that matters. And if somebody can come in and win every game 1-0, you take it.
I think the thing with Holloway, though, is, I take your point about being a good interim manager, because it's one of those where, are you picturing life in the Premier League with Ian Holloway in the dugout? Probably not. He's one of those that might get you up the league a few places, but whether he can cut it when he does actually get up to the Premier League, which I guess is still the target for QPR?
For most of the fans, obviously, that's what everyone would like to say. It's not realistic at the moment, and even if we were to go up again, it would be the same story. We have not got the foundations in place now. Every Championship club now is 5 years behind any Premier League club. With the money that Premier League clubs have picked up this year, every Championship club is now 5 years behind, because the increase in money now is made that gap even wider. QPR weren't cutting it even when we were there, and we had the money, but and different restrictions and just the foundation of the club, this small stadium, terrible training ground, we're just nowhere near competing. And I think I personally get hammered for it on social media, would rather us stay down, would rather us see the books corrected and hopefully closer to zero, because losing 180 million a season, that's impressive. that is actually impressive to lose that much money.
Parachute payments stop this year or next year?
At the end of this season. So again, everyone's saying it's vital. The owners have said it's vital that we go back up, but we're not good enough in any aspect of the club. And I'd be happy for us to spend 3 years. I'd have liked to have seen Hasselbank stay on for that reason, but
really.
It's another circus.
Yeah, it's a very tough one, and it's a brave thing to say as a fan, to say, I'd rather stay down here for 3 years, because, at the end of the day, we look forward to Saturday at 3 o'clock, and it's a results business, and, you want to see yourself win on the Saturday, but there are times where you have to take a step back. Look at Newcastle. I think this relegation is the best thing that could have happened to them into the Championship at the moment. So I do take your point. You've won 1 in 5, Norwich next, who, right up there at the moment, you're 17th, so realistically, where do you think you're going to finish this season?
I said at the start of the season that if we finish better than last season, last season we finished 12th with the bang of average Championship season of 60 points. It couldn't have been a more average season with the same amount of goals scored and against. It was perfect for OCD. If we could finish top 12, I'd be very, very happy. But 14th to 10th, so I'll go 12th again, and I'll be over the moon with that.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, let's move on to Wolves, talking about management. Your owners came in, your Chinese owners, Jeff Shi came in and said that patience was very important to his long-term plan at Wolves. He sacked Kenny Jackett's after 2 weeks and Walter Zenga after 3 months. So maybe not practicing what he preached.
Yeah. When we talked about it last time, I said we really needed a Championship manager. I would like Kenny to have had a chance, and he didn't get it. Zenga was a bit of a gamble. I think we said that before as well. I'm glad we've gone for a Championship manager, a recognised manager.
Yeah.
Toss up between Pearson and Lambert. Lambert's got the job. Let's give him the backing.
We touched on the candidates being mentioned for the QPR job. That was very much same sort of candidates being linked with the Wolves job as well. That kind of just been there, done it. What were they thinking with the Zenga appointment in the first place?
I think they wanted there's a lot to do with agents as well in there. They came in, it was a complete overhaul. We had the 13 new players in one go. It was too much too soon.
Another thing, he said that patience is important and that they were going to grow gradually, and then spent £15 million in the last few days of the transfer window.
Yeah. And some of those players are, again, coming from Monaco to Wolverhampton. Bit of a culture shock, I think. The Benfica lads are blowing hot and cold. They're one moments of brilliance, and the next falling over, or someone saying boo to them and them running away. First thing Lambert said in one of his press conferences the other day is we've got to get tougher, and I think something like we've had at least 4 video referrals after games this season.
Oh, really?
Where people have been suspended. They don't help the club. They don't help the team they were offended against. All 4 of them have been banned, and I think John Joe Shelby is now for something that happened at Newcastle. Although we won that one, so they can keep that.
We've got Clinton coming on after the break, actually, the Newcastle
It's the last
fan.
time they lost, I think.
So, yeah, exactly, yeah. So we can, it was indeed. So we can discuss that with the Newcastle fan in a bit. And we'll also talk about that quote from Paul Lambert, adding toughness, and that he wants to have a big say in everything that goes on as well. We'll look forward to that. We are going to take a break. Here are the results of the first poll on Twitter at FanTV UK. There's a landslide. The World Cup in Qatar, the worst decision in football history. I have to say, it's hard to disagree, really, isn't it? Hard to disagree with that. Before we take a break, do you agree? The worst decision in football history?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely up there. I can't imagine many fans wanting to travel to that, and there's money gone missing somewhere in there.
Well, I voted for Blatter because if Blatter weren't there, the Qatar World Cup wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, exactly. It's a very, very good point. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, you're looking beyond that, looking beyond the bigger things as well. Well, thank you very much for tweeting us at FanTV UK. We are going to launch a second poll after the break. Also, if you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube, we need to refresh your stream right now so you can carry on talking about Newcastle and Wolves and Wolves and QPR, and Clinton, our Newcastle fan, is going to Skype us in every week from now on with a Newcastle update, because that's how smug Newcastle fans are at the moment, that he wants it to be a regular feature, and we said, yeah, go on then. Everybody likes talking about Newcastle. So Clinton is going to join us in a few moments' time, and he's going to be absolutely unbearable, I think, isn't he? His 2 Championship supporting fans there.
We'll just turn that way.
You just turn that way, yeah. You don't want to talk to him. He's not much to look at either. Right, we'll be back in a few moments' time with Clinton and the 2 guys on the lime green sofa, so stay with us. See you in a sec. Hi there, it is Fan TV live on Sky 212 and I have 30 minutes left with Mark and Tom to continue our championship chats before the Football Fancast boys James and Sam get reunited with me. They had Kiri last week whilst I took some time to concentrate on my fantasy football team, and I'm still doing rubbish, so I need those guys back as soon as possible. Gianluca's going to be here at 9 giving us all the latest news coming out of Italy, and Swansea fan Gareth will be joining him to get in chat back onto the Premier League. Then Nathan Staples will be calling in with an update on what's happening in the French leagues and with the international side there as well. First though, back to the Championship, Wolves and QPR. We're talking in the break, and should we get Clinton on now? Let's get him, as we're doing Championship. We'll get Clinton on now. Yeah, you don't have to talk to him. Clinton, are you there, mate?
I'm there, how you doing?
I'm very, very well, Clinton. I'm very, very well, but these guys aren't quite as energetic and happy as you are at the minute, Clinton. I believe you're going to be joining us every week now just to tell us how good Newcastle are.
Yeah, I might as well rub it in. I might as well enjoy it while I can.
Are you lying on your bed, Clinton?
No, I'm on a chair.
Oh, right. It looked like a bed. I was going to say, yeah, it looks like a hotel room, Clinton. It was very fancy, like.
I am. I'm actually. I'm away from home at the moment on work duty, so that's the reason why.
All right.
Natural surroundings.
Whereabouts are you? Anywhere nice?
I'm in Birmingham.
Oh, so no. Sorry, too easy. We're talking to two guys here on the sofa who are struggling a bit in the Championship this season. No such problems for you. 2-1 at home versus Cardiff, your most recent result. Is there any stopping these guys? Are they winning the league?
Yeah.
Yeah?
By March.
By a long way?
By March, I reckon they'll be over.
By March, you reckon? That must be nice to hear, Clinton. Are you going to argue with them?
I like his thinking. Yeah, I totally agree. I said by March as well that we'd have it wrapped up in the bag as well. I mean, we're too good for some of these teams in the league. Wolves, though, they did have us up. I must admit, you did have us up. But we will struggle in certain games. It wasn't an easy game against Cardiff, but we got the 3 points.
You were the last team to beat Newcastle. You beat them 2-0 at St James's Park as well, wasn't it?
Best game of the season so far.
Yeah. What's the secret? What did you do that nobody else had done?
We scored 2 and they didn't.
Okay, good. Thank you. Well, fascinating insight there, Mark. Thank you very much. Well, there's the tactic, guys. If you have to play Newcastle this season, any chance of Brighton hanging on, pipping you to first place?
I reckon they'll hang on. I don't think they'll pip us to first place. I think they're our nearest rivals, them and Norwich City. I think it'll be between us three. At the moment, we've got a 3-point gap on them, but I can see us hold us right towards the very end. But I would like to see them come up with us because, Chris Hughton, ex-Mag, it'd be nice to see him up in the Premier League with us as well.
Yeah, very good point. England team's been announced, and it was very much as you were. The same old, the same usual suspects that haven't been performing for nearly a decade. Were there any Newcastle players you think were unlucky not to get in the squad?
No, well, you know what? I'm going to chuck his name in there. John Joe Shelby should be in there. Come on.
Oh, here we go.
I know people are going to say he's playing in the Championship and, all the rest of it. But look, as you just said before, there's a lot of people not, performing to their prime level or they even deserve to be in there. And look at John Joe Shelby, he's absolutely bossing it. You need a player like that who can pick the ball up from a quarterback position and then spray it left, right and centre. I don't think there's anyone in the league who can do it like that since Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, it is a strange one. I do have an element there of you disagreeing. There's some disagreement, some agreement here, Clinton. I think it's the Shelby-Gerrard comparison might have been a bit much. They were with you until maybe put him in the England squad. I think you lost them when you started comparing him to Steven Gerrard. But I take your point. But John Joe Shelby, he could do with the international break to keep fit. He's going to be banned for about 10 games, isn't he? What's going on with him at the moment? Charged for racist abuse in the game we touched on with the Wolves game.
Yeah, it was against the Wolves boys when we lost 2-0. Apparently something was said. I don't know if it was said in the heat of the moment or whatnot. Because again, it wasn't even heard by the player who it was said to. It was heard by a different player.
It was heard by a teammate. I think the player it was said to, his English wasn't good enough to basically understand it. And a teammate said, "Did you hear what he just called you?" I mean, interestingly, it happened in the 87th minute, in the exact same minute that Vernon Anita had got sent off. So I'm guessing it was during an ugly period of the game where everything got a bit heated. I don't think Newcastle appreciated you turning up and
winning
and turned them over.
Yeah, it happens. It's football, isn't it? I don't know. it's going back. I understand the bad tackles, the elbowing, the things like that being reviewed, but the players, as I say, the players didn't complain. So, why do you go back there? It wasn't in the match report, from what I understand, either.
I mean, it's a difficult one, though, isn't it? It's obviously, and rightly so, such a topic that has to be taken seriously. Do you think it goes on a lot more than the cases that we hear about? You think of Suarez and Terry in recent years, now John Dushovy, Andre Gray had a couple of homophobic tweets or whatever. Do you think stuff like that goes on the pitch more and the players are thick-skinned about it? But should they have to be?
I think the players are thick-skinned about it, but I think it just shows the lack of intelligence still in the game. You look at other sports, rugby, there's a lot more intelligence in that game. In the NFL, most of the players are, they're all college educated. John Dushovy, this isn't the first time that he's mouthed off and got himself in trouble. When he got sent off for Liverpool, playing against United, gobbing down to Alex Ferguson. Who did he think he was? Hasn't he got Alex Ferguson? Nobody heard of him. Yeah. He's a bit of a nutter, Shelby. He's obviously very talented, but he's been sent off before for bad tackles, for losing his temper. And you cannot, whatever way you want to argue with another player, and yes, there's probably players goading him. The manager's probably said, when you rile Shelby, he will let himself down. But there is no excuse for using that kind of language, and whether it might be a bit of a problem. The John Terry situation wasn't heard by Anton Ferdinand, but it was heard by a fan, actually. That's how that one started going out. And Suarez again. I mean, there's no excuse for John Dushovy to use that language in English. I mean, a foreign player might try and pretend that they don't know the English or don't know the translation. They get away with it. But John Dushovy cannot do it, and he deserved. And he'll get 5 games probably. John Terry got 4. I think that's ridiculous. I think that it should be longer. It should be a lot longer, because otherwise you're not going to stamp it out. Yeah,
and they gave Suarez 8, and then here we are again. So yeah, I don't know what the solution is. But I mean, still playing well. Playing well. But I completely agree with you. I think it's spot on. Clinton, mate, we're going to let you go. Just quickly, how gutted are you that it's an international break at the moment?
Very gutted. I mean, we're on an unbeaten streak at the moment. 7 games unbeaten in the league, 8 overall. It's come out at the wrong time, because we've got Leeds up next, and they are on form. They're on fire at the moment. Great manager in Gary Monk. I hope we win that. I'm actually going to be going to that game, so fingers crossed we can get a good result. But yeah, international break comes at the wrong time all the time, and now we're without football for 2 weeks, proper football, not none of this international break sort of stuff. So I think everyone's with you on that one. I think we're all gutted that it's an international break, but then this one, and then nothing for ages. So that's the only thing that's getting me through this one at the moment. And we're going to ask a few fans this tonight, as we're in an international break. But I think it's quite an easy one for Newcastle. How do you grade your season so far? I would say it's an 8.5. Still room for improvement. I wasn't happy, obviously, with the first 2 games in the blip against Wolves, but definitely a solid 8.5. Happy to be through to the quarterfinals of the Cup. Still a lot to play for. I still think there's a lot of players that need to kind of roll their stocks up, because we've got the likes of Diame picking up a paycheck, and I call him Sissoko in disguise. So we need to get the best out of players like that. But all in all, we can't really argue the fact that we're top of the league and through to the quarterfinals. So 8.5.
Perfect. Clinton, mate, thank you very much. Enjoy Birmingham.
Oh, will do.
Have a night down Broad Street tonight. Enjoy yourself, mate.
Oh, will do, man. I'm going on the drinks after
You'll
this.
see some things down Broad Street. Oh, you'll see some things down there. I went down Broad Street a boy and came out the other side of Man. I swear to God. Cheers, Clinton, mate. Enjoy your very lush hotel in Birmingham. What hotel was that? I went to Birmingham 3 years and never saw anything as nice as that.
Yeah.
Right, let's go back to talking about your teams. I want to talk about Wolves quickly as well, more. That man, Paul Lambert, who you touched on, is a bit of at least he's a known name in English football circles. I've got to say, though, he did one good job at Norwich. His track record everywhere leaves a lot to be desired. He said that he wants to have a big say on everything that goes on. Well, he had that at Villa, and their wage bill was £90 million a year by the time he left, and then they got relegated just afterwards. Yeah. So does that not concern you a bit? And he plays hideous football, but apart from that...
That's more worrying than anything else. The decision's been made. We've got no say in it. We can only get behind him. Time's going to tell as well. We said that with Zenga. Time will tell. Didn't get a lot of time. And from what we saw, we knew it wasn't going right. At least they acted quickly. We weren't playing as a team. We was playing as a team of individuals. And we weren't moving in the right direction. Quick move. He is someone that seems to get a team together, and he did steady the ship at Villa. And I think when you're up in the Premiership, your wage bill's going to go through the roof anyway. And they suffered from that, and they went down with that huge wage bill. Whether that was his fault, I don't know. You pay the going rates in the Premiership, don't you?
Yeah.
The worrying aspect is everyone's looking at Wolves at the moment thinking, we've got loads of money. We've got all this money. You can buy who you want. You can pay what you want and everything. I don't want us to go down that route at all.
You touched on a similar problem at QPR. You get your fingers burnt. Yeah.
And you talked to the Charlton fans earlier on about plummeting to League One. I was there in the 80s when Wolves went from the old First Division to the 4th in consecutive seasons. And we got stuck for a couple of years down there, made our way back up to what was then it wasn't the Championship, First Division, Second Division, changing names. And we got stuck there for 19 years. That's where we found our level.
Yeah, it puts it in perspective a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Put it all a bit in perspective. Right, we'll come back to both your clubs after the break. Just quickly, I want to launch the second poll of the evening, always the same place on Twitter, @FanTVUK. Following Hillary's shock failure to become president, what was the biggest dead cert not to come through? Is it Portugal-Greece at Euro 2004, Arsenal-Birmingham in the League Cup final, or Milan-Liverpool at half-time in Istanbul? And if you have any other suggestions as well, then tweet us in @FanTVUK. We launched that a while ago, and I think we've already had one suggestion. Chelsea versus Bradford City FA Cup last season. Chelsea dead certs, but spanked on their own pitch by the mighty Bantams. #. I think that might be a Bradford fan. But it was very entertaining. It was just when you think things couldn't get any worse for Bradford to go and beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge for Mourinho. It was amazing. Right, we'll be back in a couple of seconds. Keep those suggestions coming in. We'll see you then.
Can I apologise because I am proud to be a member of the Punjabi Rams. Since you gave me my badge last time you came on the show with me, Pav, I have worn it with pride. And tonight, what happens? I forgot you were coming on. I don't wear the badge. Is there a forfeit?
There is a forfeit.
Okay.
First of all, I've got to say thanks for pushing us on Twitter just there.
Pleasure.
But that's not going to save you from the forfeit.
Man.
And I think either let the audience decide on Twitter or let Tarrant decide.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Let Tarrant decide the forfeit?
Yeah.
Hi there, it is Fan TV, Toby Tarrant here, and yesterday it was Justin Lee Collins here on the lime green sofa, as he always is on a Tuesday night, and he had some of his favourite guests on, the Punjabi Rams, the Derby fans, who kindly gave him a Punjabi Rams badge. Let's have a look at what happened when he forgot to wear it last night.
Can I apologise because I am proud to be a member of the Punjabi Rams. Since you gave me my badge last time you came on the show with me, Pav, I have worn it with pride. And tonight, what happens? I forgot you were coming on. I don't wear the badge. Is there a forfeit?
There is a forfeit.
Okay.
First of all, I've got to say thanks for pushing us on Twitter just there.
Pleasure.
But that's not going to save you from the forfeit.
Man.
And I think either let the audience decide on Twitter or let Tarrant decide.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Let Tarrant decide the forfeit?
Yeah.
I love that. I've not met those guys, and they've just put me out there. So I can tell you that I've spent the last 24 hours thinking about what would be appropriate punishment. And as it's the Punjabi Rams, and Justin is a very big Bristol City fan, we are going to have Justin eat the hottest curry money can buy in a Bristol Rovers shirt. So that is something to look forward to. Keep your eyes peeled in the near future. And Justin doesn't know this, by the way. We tried to get in touch with him earlier to ask if he would do it, and he didn't get back. So now we figured if I say it on live television, he has to do it now. So that's the plan. So we've got a fowl coming your way. Have you ever eaten a fowl before?
I haven't, no.
No.
I had a fowl. It was a forfeit as well. It was a forfeit, and it was from a drinking game when I was in Birmingham in Royal Orchid Curry House in Selly Oak. And I had the fowl, and I was the only person to eat it in 2012 or something. And they took my photo and stuck it up in the window, and I was there for a year over this thing. And it's the worst thing I've ever done in my life, ever done. So I'm really looking forward to Justin doing that. I mean, I don't know if we're going to film this separately, or I vote live on telly personally, but
Definitely. Live.
Live? Yeah?
We won't get invited back.
Not on Justin's show anyway. You're more than welcome on mine. So there you have it, Justin. If you're watching, then you'll be eating a hot curry in a Bristol Rovers shirt in the very near future. Something to look forward to as a punishment for getting your Punjabi Rams badge. Right, let's get back to you guys. I want to carry on talking about Paul Lambert. Said that you need to toughen up. You've conceded, in the last 6 games, you've conceded inside the first 15 minutes in each and every single one of them. I mean, is that a mental thing? Is your team just not good enough?
They definitely don't start. It's been a trait for all the games, and not just the ones we've conceded in. We've been lucky to get away with a few as well. The toughening up is also the players. As I said earlier on, I hinted at some of the imported players, shall we call them, actually bottling tackles, giving away passes unnecessarily because someone's just coming at them. That's the championship.
These are the 3. So for those that don't know, you basically, I don't know who signed them, but you got 3 Benfica under 23 players in your squad. How did that work? Is it one of those, a bit like we heard about Charlton earlier, where you turn up on the training ground and there's 3 Portuguese blokes you've never seen before?
It's what you said earlier on. We signed these 13 players in a week, I think it was. It might have been 2 weeks. They all seem to have the same agent. They all seem to have a common link from where they came from. They have flashes of brilliance, but they do they haven't quite worked the championship out yet.
I mean, it's a very tough league. And I mean, we talk about, all that agent needs a sacking because they were in Benfica and now they're playing in Wolves every other Saturday. But I mean, on a serious note, it's a very tough, physical, aggressive league where you're playing twice a week. It's tough for English players to adapt to the championship sometimes. It seems such an odd place to put these 3 Portuguese youngsters in. And
especially being the youngsters. I'm sure they haven't watched many Wolves games on the telly. I'm sure they probably haven't watched many championship games on the telly. So they were thrown in at the deep end. And you've signed them. They're supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread. They've been thrown in. Costa, brilliant. He's fast. He's got quick feet. Takes the area. Comes in and out of games. Cavallero's the only actual one we've signed. And he came from Monaco, although he was on loan at Monaco from Benfica, I understand. I don't know. It's again, the jury's out. I don't know whether they're going to make it or not here.
Yeah.
I really don't.
The same thing we asked Clinton when he was on earlier. How do you rate Wolves' season so far?
We're below where I wanted us to be. I actually thought, with all the changes, with all the moves pre-season, right at the very depth of pre-season it was. I expected mid-table this season to settle out to be our springboard for the future. So I expected mid-table. But the way the results are going, we're looking over our shoulder at the moment.
That's it,
3 points.
19th at the moment. And it's getting very exciting at the bottom of actually probably more exciting at the bottom because of the Newcastle effect than it is at the top. If you were to predict right now where Wolves are going to end up?
I'm going to go 12th with him. We're going to go 12th equal.
don't know how it gets settled then. It's goals for or something, isn't it? I think that's how it works.
I'll be happy mid-table. I said that at the start of the season because there's too many changes.
Confident you will be there?
Yes.
I've seen some confidence in my time, and that's not it. Same thing I want to ask QPR. Where do you rate your season so far?
I'll say on the pitch about 6. The table's not very reflective at the moment. I mean, we're 6 points off the relegation and 6 points off the playoffs. So 2 games, it changes it completely. But off the pitch, again, we've just taken another 2 steps back. And if we employ Holloway, then that's another 13 years back. So I'd say 4 off the pitch and 6 on the pitch.
10 in total, though. So
it's very, do
the maths. Do the maths. It's not all
going
bad.
up.
And same thing, I've got to ask you, 17th at the minute. You are spot on, and it's the Championship where you can be in 17th in February and still probably get promoted if you go on a run. But your gut instinct, where does that tell you the season's headed for QPR?
I think we'll be all right. I don't think we'll go down, but we're nowhere near good enough. There's a good at least 8 teams that are a lot better than us, and there's probably a couple more as well, like Wolves, where it could go either way. So yeah, around 12th, and I'd be happy with it.
Same thing I asked the Charlton fans earlier. 2 teams that are both in the Premier League fairly recently, and I think it's fair to say that you've got fans who are despondent on both sides. Can you pinpoint a time and place that things took a turn for the worst at QPR?
Mark Hughes.
Really? Really?
We went up with Neil Warnock and, allegedly or whatever, where the money was going. He didn't spend a huge amount on transfers, and he built a team around Tarap, who, he was a very, very talented player, and his career's gone wasted because he's very talented, and but his attitude and everything is terrible. But everyone says that that's the reason we went up, and that wasn't at all the reason. We had a very, very strong, good Championship side around him, with the likes of Sean Derry, Clint Hill, Jamie Mackey, and they got us promoted, and then Tarap's flash of brilliance. So we went up, and Tony Fernandes bought the club that summer. We weren't given, Briatore and Bernie Eccleston didn't give us any money to spend. I think we brought in Jay Bothroyd on a free, and DJ Campbell for about 1.5 million, which was our transfer fee. So Warnock was panicking, as he would do, Warnock, without money to spend. Tony Fernandes came in 2 weeks into the season, and since then, and I don't think it's out of malicious or that Fernandes is purposely trying to run it poorly, it's since that moment that things have started to go wrong. Warnock never took us into the relegation zone once in the Premier League. He got sacked because, like a lot of new owners, they want their own man in place. Hughes just kept us up on the last day, even though we lost to City in the end, but just. And then that summer, we signed, the fact that we signed Rob Green, and you thought, okay, to replace Paddy Kenny, probably a sensible decision in the Premier League. And 10 days later, Julio Cesar's turning up at Loftus Road when we're playing in losing to Rochdale in the League Cup, or Swindon, I think, that year. We lose every year in the League Cup. But but the fact that Julio Cesar and Basingwa and Stefan Mbia and Granero are coming from these European sides, and probably a bit like Wolves at the moment. We were a bit Arsenal towards the end of their career. It was like, this is great. We're going to win the Premier League, and we're going to go win the European Cup in 3 years' time. This is amazing. All this money, this is fantastic. And it didn't work out that way. And we have spent now 4 years trying to flush all of that out of the club. And I have to say, Mark Hughes, Mike Rigg, who's got a job at the FA now. And Mike Rigg's got a job at the FA because Stoke turned him down and said, we're not having you with Hughes. He's now got a job at the FA running some financial thing. And he spent that much money. Chris Samba, 100 grand a week, played that 6 months.
Bless on Chris Samba. Wolves, can you pinpoint a time and a place where it went sour for you guys?
West Brom home. I'm not going to mention the score. Nick McCarthy, Morgan walking into the dressing room, allegedly. Unsettled the whole thing. No disrespect to Terry Connor, but putting him in charge for the rest of the season. We could have stayed afloat. We could have. But no, it was a panic. And that West Brom game was the turning point, not only that season, but us losing our Premiership position.
It's amazing that, it's fascinating to see how you can pinpoint it normally to just a one result can literally be the difference. The Terry Connor appointment in particular was mind-boggling at the time. I don't know how that...
I think someone actually tweeted that earlier on as one of the...
oh, really?
On your last poll.
Oh, what, the terrible
moments.
football decisions? Yeah, that's not a bad shout at all. We've had a poll and a tweeting about John Joe Shelvey as well. We're talking about him facing a potential 5-game ban. Shelvey for England. I haven't trusted him since he tried to do it, since what he tried to do in Harry Potter. That's quite generous, I think, saying John Joe Shelvey looks like Voldemort. That's obviously somebody disagreeing or wasn't happy with the Shelvey to Gerrard comparison as well. I think that was probably something to do with that as well. Keep your tweets coming in at FanTV UK if you're not happy with Clinton for comparing John Joe Shelvey and Steven Gerrard. Also, we are going to launch a teaser now for the rest of the show. So it is an international break. Very, very unfortunately, it is international break. So tweet us at FanTV UK if you think you know the answer. And the question is, which current player boasts the best goals per game ratio for England? Which current player boasts the best goals per game ratio for England? If you think you know, tweet us at FanTV UK. Any ideas on the sofa?
David Nugent. He's got one,
current?
one.
I don't know if it means current. I think it means in the current squad. Oh, it doesn't? No? Current player? Then
he got one.
That's a great 1-1 against Andorra.
He got it in 6 minutes, didn't he?
1-1 against Andorra, didn't he? Yeah. It's a good shout. Might have ruined the teaser for everyone playing at home. Thanks very much, mate. Brilliant. Right, guys, we've got to let you go. But thank you very much for joining us on the Lime Green Sofa. I hope next time we get you back on, you're doing slightly better than 19th and 17th respectively, so it can't get too much worse from here. Although I don't see too much hope in either of those faces at the prospect of that. Right, we'll be back in a few moments' time. We've got loads to get through: fantasy football, Italian football, Swansea. It's all coming up in a sec. Hi there, it is an international break, but last weekend was another weekend full of action-packed football in the Premier League, and I'm sure some of you did very well and very badly in your fantasy football. We have got our experts from Football Fancast, James and Sam, in today. Come on, James and Sam. Come on, chaps. Hello, mate. Good to see you. How you doing, right?
Yeah, good to see you.
Hey, take a seat, take a seat. You were with the very plain and unattractive Kiri Blur last week, weren't you?
Yeah.
Were you in last week?
I wasn't, no.
It was Jack last week,
was Jack, yeah.
Yeah, it was me and Jack last week.
Yeah. Well, now you get to feast your eyes on this for the next half an hour.
That's a dodgy jumper, that, isn't it?
That really is rascal.
It really is.
Hang on.
It really is.
There we go, I just had a pig throat.
Of all the weeks that you've had a go at us for wearing the same thing,
Where'd you get that from, mate?
I mean, I don't know. Primark, I think it was on sale. Yeah. It was the stuff that nobody else wanted. Yeah. Doesn't even fit. I got one arm apparently longer than the other, but I think that's just because the sweatshop they made it in, they're not very good at their jobs. Right, so let's get back to football, fantasy football, and we have the clips and your predictions from last week when you were here with Jack. Shall we take a look?
It's really bad.
It's
really bad.
That was amazing.
Shawcross.
I think the thinking behind this is they're playing West Ham, so points from all of them, really. Be very easy, won't it, Jay?
No. Yeah.
We'll tell everyone to take him out and then he'll score a hat-trick at the weekend. But I think we spoke about Zlatan alternatives 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now we've just gone straight in with no, get him out.
Yeah, I think with all three of those strikers, really, they're going to be on form. Kane is a wild card for us because no one's really sure whether he is going to make the North London derby the weekend.
He'll make the North London derby, I think.
But I think Pochettino's probably got him under his sleeve, ready to throw in. So.
I could have been doing something so much worse. You've been behind the scenes on this show before. It was so lucky when it cut back to me, that was all I was doing. Got something grossly inappropriate. So your predictions last week were to drop Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Let's start with that one.
Well, as we said in that clip, we mentioned a good 4 or 5 weeks ago that it might be worth thinking about taking him out because he wasn't scoring. And then last week we went with, you need to get him out because he hasn't scored for 5 or 6 weeks. And then typical, he bangs in 2 goals.
He scored twice.
But yeah, that's just the way football fantasy goes. That's the way football goes, isn't it? So.
I was guilty of it too. I took him out thinking,
oh really?
He's been in awful form. He's not going to score again. And what does he do? He goes and scores 2.
See, I kept him in purely because I've used so many subs that I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to risk. I just rather save it. At least he's not injured or anything. But I was kind of praying for him to get injured, so it would force my hand a bit. But thankfully, he's come good. And now, do you expect Zlatan now to go back to scoring ways?
Potentially.
It was Swansea away. I think we should put that in perspective. At all times.
I think he's that sort of striker that will quite happily just go on a bit of a run and score loads of goals. But that 5 or 6 game period where he weren't scoring would have had fantasy football players a little bit worried, which is why we went in last week and said, "No, get him out."
Yeah.
And he's expensive as well.
Very
so
expensive.
You could have used that value elsewhere.
To be fair, if you had replaced him earlier as well with a De Bruyne or somebody or an Aguero or somebody, then you would have definitely been here.
I think he needed a brace like that. He needed a few goals to get him going. You know, he had a barren run for God knows how many weeks now. I think he needed 2 goals to properly get him going. I think this could be the start of him. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, he came off the back of 50 goals last season for Paris Saint-Germain, his highest ever tally. So it seems ridiculous that he could have completely lost it in the space of one summer, where he didn't have a major tournament to worry about much either as well. And then you predicted that Stoke were going to get loads of points against West Ham.
Well, I didn't. Jack did. I wasn't too keen on it, and I think the 3 that we put into that infographic, I don't think any of them got
no,
any points
Shawcross,
at all,
Allen and Bonnie didn't do a
Yeah, no. But I mean, I think that the point of that was that it was worth looking at a team's spine.
Yeah.
And whether you can get a little bit of value out of it. And I think across the season, Stoke might be good value for that still.
That's it. I think Bonnie as well. I mean, he seems so lethargic and stuff at the minute, but I do feel like if he scores a couple, we might see Bonnie Swansea version at Stoke, and he's cheaper than all the other strikers that you can get. And he could end up getting 15 league goals or something. Yeah, let's move on to this week. It's kind of, I guess, a bit of a period for reflection of the international period ahead. You've got a list of the must-have players, the players that you just basically can't afford not to have. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because everybody else is going to have them, but you can't be the guy who doesn't have them at the same time.
Well, the point behind all the infographics that we're going to show you tonight is that it's around about now that people start thinking about playing their wild cards if they haven't already. A new wild card comes into action in the new year. You've got 8 game weeks now to play that first wild card. So it's normally around about now where the majority of people will play that. So now everything tonight will be on the basis of that.
Okay.
These 3 players are the players that you just cannot afford not to have in your team.
Need to have them in there.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's a case of class is permanent. Eden Hazard, had a bit of an iffy season last season, but watching him now, you know he's going to perform for Chelsea.
I think the thing with Hazard is, you look at the formation that Conte's playing now. It suits him down to a T, doesn't it? He's got to do no defending now. You know, he's got Azpilicueta, he's got Alonso behind him now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do any defending. You know, he's got freedom now to you know, press the opposition defence and really, really go for it. So for me, he's someone you've got to have in your team at the moment.
Yeah.
Because he's,
the man next to him, Philippe, I mean, I could go on about Philippe Coutinho all day at the moment. The one thing that's kind of always been lacking from him is perhaps end product, certainly in terms of goal scoring, but I think at the moment that the way that front four are so fluid and move.
It's crazy, isn't it?
He could score a handful of goals this season.
We saw that on Sunday against Watford. I mean, I don't think anyone, I mean, Watford have had a good season, so no one expected Liverpool to turn up the way they did. And he's contributed 11 goals. I mean, I don't know how many goals Liverpool have scored this season, but that's a large percentage of them.
Yeah.
But then, even if Coutinho wasn't there, we could have had Firmino in there, we could have had Mane in there. We could have had Lallana in there as well. So, any Liverpool midfielder is a player, you need to have at least one in there.
That's it. I think the keys must have, and I just feel like that Liverpool system is just going to keep delivering points. I've had Mane as captain recently, and he's just been absolutely bossing it for me. He's been immense.
And the value's good as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you consider there's nearly a £5 million difference between him and the man next to him, Aguero. Is Aguero as good a sure thing as there is in the Premier League? Do you think for goals certainly?
There's no better striker in the Premier League.
No.
A lot of people say he's a little bit injury prone, you know, get injured and then he'll be out for a little while. We work with a City fan who says, you know, well, is it worth having it in? Because over the course of the season he'll spend the large periods of it out. But I think if he's on the pitch and he's going to score, and that proves in he's averaging 7.4 points per 90 minutes, which is pretty good.
And that involves a period where he's come back and settled in.
I was at the game actually on the weekend, Man City v Middlesbrough, and you know, it looked like there's no goals coming at all. But you just know with Aguero on the pitch, there's going to be a goal out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it happened, you know, just before half time, he notches a goal. You didn't see it coming, but he scored. That's the kind of player you want in your team. You know?
I mean, you look at Diego Costa's struggles last season. He's back to his best this season, but because the team's playing well around him, you feel like Aguero is the one that can create a goal out of nothing that maybe all the other strikers in the league don't have.
And he will,
Yeah,
he will.
No, he's an absolute world-class player. Big hitters as well. You've got on a slide for us on the big hitters. Talk us through the thought process behind these guys.
Well, these guys are the ones that not everyone will have as such, but are the guys that are kind of almost guaranteed to get you points every week. So we've got the guys that you must have, and the guys that are big hitters. So you might have one or two of these, depending on sort of how well you put your value across your 11 players. But all four of these players this season have been producing across the board. And not just point scoring, but in terms of value as well. You can see the points per million.
Yeah.
All of them are quite high. Points per 90. They're all sort of around about the 7 points mark. So,
is Lukaku? We talked about you're going to have to sit through a period where Aguero's injured. Are you going to have to sit through a period where Lukaku doesn't score a goal for 5 games?
That's the thing with him. He's so on and off.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to decide whether you put him in your team or not. But the thing is, on his day, he can score you a brace or more than that. You know, he's that type of striker. And for that price as well, it's pretty good value for a kind of, you know, he is the main man for Everton these days. So,
and they're having a good season as well, Everton, apart from last weekend where they sort of just
decided to go toe-to-toe with Conte's 5-3-2.
Yeah, it was a little bit weird. But, I mean, other than that, they've been superb. So, he's going to be scoring goals throughout the season.
I mean, the one thing is, as much as he goes through those lulls, and we see it all the time with Lukaku, he won't score for a month or 6 weeks or whatever. At the end of the season, you can guarantee about 17, 18 league goals. So he's worth persevering with, isn't he?
Absolutely.
De Bruyne, for me as well, he's in that bracket of guaranteed points when he plays. His numbers and the big numbers, the goals and assist numbers, throughout his career since Wolfsburg and now he's carried it on at City are exceptional. Is there a better player in the league than Kevin De Bruyne on his day?
In terms of creativity, I'd say no. Probably isn't, because he does everything. You know, he scores goals, he gets assists, he does everything for that team. He's fundamental to what Pep Guardiola is doing at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he is pricey, but I think you're going to get your kind of bang for your buck, really.
He's got 8 assists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The highest in the Premier League so far.
It's interesting that the 3 players that really set it alight recently have been De Bruyne, Ozil and Coutinho, all that similar 10 role. But I do feel like De Bruyne can kind of do what they both do, whereas Coutinho's kind of a dribbler, Ozil's a passer, kind of De Bruyne is a bit of a hybrid of the two, isn't he?
And he's a dead ball player as well. He'll take all the free kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and he's in a team that's going to score
however many goals under Guardiola this
Absolutely.
season. I think I got rid of him when he got injured, and I just can't get him back in. And I just want him back in my team so badly because I just know that he's going to boss it by the end of the season. And Bargain Bucket, you've rather amusingly titled this one. Bargain Bucket, so this is kind of the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah,
You're not going to go and get a Kevin De Bruyne or a Sergio Aguero.
You need to spread your value across your team, especially when playing the wild card, and there's always a differential to be had. And I think these 4 guys over the last 4 or 5 weeks have produced some really good points for next to nothing. I put Austin in my team last week. He produced a goal. Probably won't again for the rest of the season, though, my luck. But he's scored 5 goals and he's got an assist. He's picking up some decent bonus points as well. But Snodgrass came back from injury, came off the bench, got the goal and assist as well to help Holbeek South.
I mean, his career, Snodgrass, is another one that statistically is very good.
Yeah,
isn't it? He's always had an end product to his
he is the main man for Hull City, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is the main creative kind of focus for Hull City. So he's that cheap. It's almost worth getting him in there without a
Do you
doubt.
find people are sometimes almost snobs with what clubs players play for in fantasy football?
Definitely, without a doubt. That's why you've got to look at your differentials. You've got to look at the teams that have a good run of fixtures. And I mean, that Defoe, I don't think many people have got Defoe.
Yeah.
Because Sunderland have been terrible all season.
Yeah, that's what's put me off.
He's one of the highest scoring strikers. He's scored 6 goals, he's got 61 points. And if you look at that points per million, I mean, for what you're paying for him, you get 8 points per outlay. So
I think he's cheap based on the fact that he plays for Sunderland, and that's where you've got to recognise that kind of thing. Whereas
exactly.
If he was at Spurs still, he'd be nearer 10 mil.
10, exactly. Exactly, that is spot on. And I think over the course of the season, these are the guys that almost make the difference. Everyone's got an Aguero or a De Bruyne in their team somewhere. It's going to be these kind of signings that make the difference. And I mean, Michael Keane I looked at because he's a great player, but I thought, Burnley are going to concede goals this season. Best home record in the Premier League at the moment. I don't know what's going on. We've got to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with the guys from Football Fancast, James and Sam, to discuss more fantasy football from last weekend and look ahead to the end of the international break as well. Be back in a sec. Hello, welcome back to Fan TV. James and Sam are here on the lime green sofa. James was with Jack last week. I've noticed you always sit in the same spot, regardless of who you're with.
Always there.
Yeah, you know why? It's because the first time I came, I was on there, I sat to the left. But then everyone who was watching saying I looked a little bit too small next to the person. Because I'm quite small anyway.
Okay, yeah.
So I looked a little bit out of the way. So we've agreed now that I'm always here. So I don't look sort of like just too small on the sofa.
Just some hermit at the end of it. Yeah. Very nice. Well, apparently we have another clip of you from last week. I haven't seen it myself yet. They literally told me this in the break. So should we have a look?
Okay.
Let's have a laugh at your expense, I hope.
Yeah, let's do it Thursday because it's that chap to chat on tomorrow. Lanky, Trevor McDonald's son.
Yeah, that's can I phone a friend on this one?
Man. Tristan McDonald, something McDonald's.
Something McDonald's. Yeah. But no, he doesn't use his dad's name.
Of course, no, you're right.
He uses that other fella's name.
Yes, something Moynihan.
Moynihan, that's him.
Yeah. Troy Moynihan.
Yeah.
He threw a bowl of Cocoa Pops at Sean because they made his milk turn chocolatey, and he threw them at Sean. He called Sean.
Doesn't he know what Cocoa Pops are?
I know.
The guy's got no idea
No
how
idea.
to behave.
No idea. It's three.
He doesn't have a clue how he's supposed to behave in this industry.
And then he swore at Sean, and we're a family show. We don't have any swearing. He swore. Yeah.
The thing is, Justin, I know his dad. I know Trevor. So I'll give him a bell.
In fairness to Sean, though, he said to Troy, "Why did you throw those Cocoa Pops at me, you cheese?"
Oh, he's got the words. He's got the words, hasn't he?
Yeah,
He knows how to do it.
You filming this, Arthur? What on earth are you doing? Doing nothing sacred.
Just shut
up. Sorry, mate.
Come in, just shut up.
Who are you?
Well, that had nothing to do with me.
So they stitched me right up. They promised me that it was a clip of you giving some dodgy predictions last week, and it was actually behind the scenes footage that I've never seen before. That's the first time I've ever seen that, of Justin and our producer Kenny slating me, frankly. So pretty more where that came from. Right, there'll be a riposte in the upcoming days, I think, Justin.
Is that a continue of Tarrant Out?
I think it's the restarting, I think, the Tarrant Out. Well, the thing was, the Tarrant Out thing was meant to be that I was supposed to survive in this job longer than Sam Allardyce did, which I've done with aplomb, frankly.
And, it wasn't hard, was it?
And now this. They're saying that basically since I couldn't be with you last week because I was doing my drive time radio show, I was covering the big shift, and they think it's gone to my head a bit. They think I've changed.
Big time Charlie now,
They think I've changed my tune a bit, and now I'm going around throwing Cocoa Pops around the place. Right, well, back to fantasy football. Thanks for that, producer Lauren in my ear. Thank you very much for that. Let's get back to fantasy football. You talked about looking at fixtures, upcoming fixtures, a crucial part. We've got the teams to back or avoid, but start with the teams to back first, shall we?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here it is.
No wonder I'm circling the drain in this job. Right, here we go. So, teams to back. I think Liverpool are backing. You don't need to even look at the next 3 matches at the moment. Flying along.
Well, I mean, we've got the next 8 fixtures here. The average fixture difficulty is, the Premier League they give like a rating per fixture, 1 being easy, 5 being hard. The next 8 fixtures means that takes us up to New Year's Eve, and then on the 1st of January, the new wildcard kicks in.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
So this sort of backs us up with a sort of wildcard thing. And I think these 3 clubs, if you can look at players with these 3 clubs, then you're looking at points. Given that they've got a fairly decent average fixture difficulty, the lower the better.
My one concern with Leicester players at the moment is that a lot of them are still priced on the reputation they earned for their performances last season. Yeah. And does that put you off at all? I mean, you look at Jamie Vardy, who cost an arm and a leg still, and he doesn't look like he's...
That is a worry, because obviously Vardy started on the bench in the Premier League on the weekend. You've got to consider the fact that Ranieri is concentrating on the Champions League this year. That is something to consider. But looking at them fixtures, you'd think that Leicester do have a good chance of winning all 3 of them games. Looking at them.
Well, do you think if Leicester pick up a couple of wins, then they might start to build a few games, or do you just think it's going to be
I think they did that early in the season, and then they just sort of start losing again.
Yeah.
I don't think they really know where their priorities lie in terms of whether it's Champions League, whether it's Premier League, or whatever. So they're a strange club this year. But defensively, I think there's probably some value in their defenders more than anything else.
Yeah.
Like the likes of Christian Fuchs or Wes Morgan or something like that will probably pick up points across the season.
Yeah, that's one thing they've managed to hang on to, is they're still relatively solid.
Yeah.
And Tottenham as well. I mean, very, very easy next 8 fixtures. So West Ham at home, Chelsea away, Swansea at home, Chelsea away is obviously a tough one, but I'm guessing the 5 after that must be considered very straightforward.
They're looking pretty good. Their next fixture, unfortunately, is going to be very easy for them. And then from there on in, apart from Chelsea, I think they can have a decent run until the new year. So,
Are the best players, like we touched on, Leicester defenders being worth the money? Is it the same at Tottenham as well?
I'd say so.
In terms of defenders, I'd say defenders-wise,
I think Walker is the best. The best defender in terms of points scored.
Is he?
Or one of the best anyway. And he's not that expensive either. So
the only issue with Spurs is they're just not scoring goals at the moment, are they?
Yeah.
So for Tottenham, it should be the defenders that should be the priority, I think.
Unless it's Kane.
Well,
he's back.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's a gamble, isn't it?
Yeah.
Him or Son.
Definitely not Janssen. I think we can all agree that. If there's one thing we can settle on, definitely not Janssen.
Unless it's a penalty shootout, get Janssen in.
Yeah, no, he's hopeless. Right, teams to avoid. There we go. Bournemouth, I mean, straight away you can see Arsenal and Liverpool coming up there. Middlesbrough got Chelsea, West Ham. Just what you don't need, Tottenham, Man United and Arsenal. Let's start with that. Let's start with your boys, West Ham.
West Ham, we've struggled recently. I thought we'd got into a decent bit of form and then we lost to Everton and then drew with Stoke, which is frustrating. But then we've got Tottenham, Man United away twice in a week. So we've got them in the EFL Cup as well. Then we've got Arsenal, and I think we've got Liverpool away after that Arsenal game. So all right, yeah. So we got, but then after that it's Hull at home, which we'll probably lose. Swansea away, which we'll probably lose. So it's a difficult run of fixtures.
Have they got a bit of a Leicester City syndrome as well, in that there's a few West Ham players there whose price is still based on last season? I'm looking at Dimitri Payet as one of them, who's probably one of the most expensive players you could ask for.
With Payet, I think he thrived on a good set of players in front of him last season. We had some strikers who could score some goals, which we don't have this year. Carroll's still injured. Sacco, no one even knows what he's doing.
Has anyone seen him?
No.
You seen him?
Where is he?
Anyone seen Sacco?
Where is he? Where is he going?
But and he's just stuck with Simone Zaza, who's probably not going to play again for us because it costs too much money. So he's just got no one up front.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with Payet. I mean, he's still created the most strikes in the Premier League this year, but there's been no one on the end of it to score. So.
Is the one player that is still trustworthy Mikel Antonio?
Yes, if he plays in the right position. Bilic has been still using him as a sort of a utility player. But if you play him where he's meant to be playing, which is a right winger, he's going to get you goals. He's got five this season. Yeah. He was absolutely robbed of his goal at the weekend against Stoke. Went down as an own goal. It's definitely his goal, but it is what it is, isn't it, really?
Just very quickly through the other two as well, Bournemouth. Things aren't going. It's the first time ever we're going to see what Eddie Howe's really made of, isn't it, these next 8 fixtures?
I think it's a test for him because I don't think he's been used to this kind of... He's been used to winning games most weeks. But now he's starting to really realise, here we go, Premier League's here. And there's some tough games coming up for him as well. You know, you look at Stoke away, not an easy place to go, Arsenal away either, and then Liverpool at home. I don't think you should be selecting Bournemouth players in your fantasy team over the next couple of weeks because the points just aren't there for me.
I think previously Bournemouth defenders have been good value.
They normally score all their goals.
Yeah, they're goal scorers, or if they're not scoring, they're assisting. But their run of fixtures, I mean, an average of 3 out of 5 doesn't look great.
No,
so
yeah, that's very high. Middlesbrough, I mean, if you'd seen this set of 8 fixtures a couple of weeks ago, you'd be dreading them, but suddenly they look solid as a rock, don't they? Points off City, points off Arsenal.
Yeah, but then you've got Chelsea at home. Chelsea are solid, they haven't conceded a goal in 5 games. Leicester away, I know Leicester lost at home at the weekend, but they're no mugs, are they? So
yeah.
And I think after that they've got a few tough fixtures coming into the new year.
They must do between.
I think you've got to be quite selective with your Middlesbrough players. The likes of George Friend, you know, he's a player that goes up and down that flank. He will get you assists.
Yeah.
And he will get you the odd clean sheet. And
he's
cheap as well. He's cheap as well.
My third sub the last 3 weeks. And he's up 20 points.
Yeah, I've had him from day one of the season, and and I love George Friend. And also on FanDuel, let's move on quickly to that. We've got about 3 minutes left to quickly cover FanDuel, which is the other more detailed version of fantasy football that you guys run. Eden Hazard, he's similar to Eden Hazard, slightly different, but it's his brother. Eden Hazard, absolutely on fire at the minute, isn't he? Absolutely
incredible.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
He came out recently and said, he got told he had to start shooting more. He starts shooting more, starts scoring. is what it is.
Someone probably should have told him
It's
that
just
earlier,
that easy.
to be honest. Probably let him know that.
Yeah, I mean, down in game week 7, perhaps Conte should have said that to him then. But I mean, still, if you'd been picking Hazard in your FanDuel team, you'd probably be out there winning some money.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's just the average points as well, not even so. What he had to get in those weeks to get his average up from there shows the sort of form he's in. And finally, this is the team of the week from the weekend just gone. Is it you got for us here?
Yeah.
In the FanDuel stuff, which is always a good indicator of if a team's playing well. Had his best game in a Liverpool shirt, Karius.
Pulled off a few good saves.
Superb.
I'm still not sure about him whatsoever.
It could have been 6-5 if it weren't for him. So
yeah.
Fair play to him.
I think we've got to get used to that. I'm not surprised to see no Liverpool defenders at the back there. I wouldn't imagine there's going to be any at the end of the season either. That man, Alonso, is he cheap? I don't think people were expecting him to play this season.
I don't think many people were, but he's fit into that new Conte system really well. And he's proven that in terms of, I mean, he's got his first goal. I think he's got a couple of assists behind him as well. And in FanDuel, you earn points from passes, chances created, tackles.
So wing back, pretty much.
Yeah.
The best
So
position
I
in
mean,
that system.
he's your guy. He's going to get you points. But the main one here that I would like to point out is Janmat. He was in the team that got battered 6-1.
And he's still in the team.
And he's still in the team of the week. I know he did get a goal, but I mean,
that's
the
where
amount of
FanDuel's different to the others. Obviously, he scored, but also
he would have lost a lot of points.
all of
He
that
would have
as
lost a
well,
lot of points from conceding 6.
Yeah.
But he's still in the team of the week.
I guess he probably was under so much relentless attacking pressure. He was probably responsible for all the points.
Yeah.
One more. Apparently, we've got one more slide. Oh, here we go. Sorry, it's one more. It's a tweet. It's a tweet following Hillary's shot. We closed this. We closed this, didn't we? What was the biggest? Has this one still got time to go? I mean, they just wanted to point this out. Liverpool, Gerrard Slip, 2013-14. Brilliant. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that.
Very fair.
What was the biggest dead cert? Not. It doesn't even make sense, that one. It doesn't even link.
But it's worth bringing up either way. So.
Is it though?
It just is. It just is.
Is it though?
Yeah,
I mean, any argument, if you just say Gerrard slips, it fits in nicely. It works.
I disagree. Couldn't disagree more, frankly. Right, that poll is still going on Twitter at FanTVUK. Thank you very much for getting in touch. Will I see you next week, Wix? Is it international break?
We'll be leading into the next game week when we next week.
I'll be looking forward to
back.
it. Well, I look forward to that. Thank you for having me, guys.
Nice one,
We'll
mate.
see you
Cheers,
same
mate.
time next week.
Nice
then.
one.
Yeah. Have a good one, chaps.
Nice one.
Thank you. Right, we'll see you in a sec. Hi there, welcome back to Fan TV. We've had a slew of riffraff on the lime green sofas so far, so it's time to bring out some culture. Here's Gianluca, our Italian football expert. Here we go, mate. Good to see you. How you doing? Yeah, exactly. Do you know, funny, I was going to say that. You beat me to it. You beat me to it. Yeah, we've had a bit of riffraff on the sofa so far.
Exactly.
It's nice to
bit
get
of
some
culture.
Nice bit of European class for a
Yes.
change. What's going on with the David Brent?
David Brent, yeah. No, it's just, they call it a pizzo in Italy. Which also means a bung. But it's a goatee. You're just going for it. It's Movember, isn't it? It's Movember.
On your face.
Yeah, exactly. Movember, isn't it? So.
Oh, is this your Movember? Is it?
Yeah, my attempt. It started like 2 months ago, so just
so
then you shave a little bit.
To get ahead of time. Yeah,
yeah,
you look a bit Rafa Benitez, a young Rafa Benitez about you.
Yeah.
Quite.
That's what I did at Halloween. So.
Were you Rafa at Halloween?
No.
Oh, well, hey, there's nothing wrong with going as an ex-Liverpool manager at Halloween, mate. Nothing wrong with that. Let's talk about Serie A. Annoyingly, every time I speak to you, it's getting exciting, and I think, maybe this isn't going to be Juve's year, and then everyone drops points in the weekend, and Juve win, and then it goes back to a 4-point gap again. Is that frustrating for a neutral?
It can be. I mean, when we talk about Serie A, when we talk about Liga, when we talk about La Liga years ago, these are the types of leagues where there's one runaway winner, and it seems to be the recurring theme that Juventus are going to be able to get there at the end. At the end of the season, win their 6th consecutive title, which will be the first time ever. But I don't necessarily think it's a foregone conclusion this year. I think Roma are quite strong.
Foregone conclusion, back to David Brent again.
Exactly. Throwing out all the cliches, So, I don't necessarily think it will definitely be a runaway winner.
Like it has been the last couple of years. Does look a bit stronger this year.
Much stronger. I think Roma have got a great side. Obviously, Dzeko's one of the top scorers in Italy at the moment, really finding his feet this season. And then, the likes of Napoli, who may have dropped points in the last few seasons, still have quality in that side. So they could, run Juventus to the wire. But I think Milan this season are quite they obviously beat Juventus a couple of weeks ago now. So, you never know. They're a young side. They've got a few stars in that team that will help Montella try and bed himself in and make him have a good campaign at the helm. So we'll see.
I always ask this question every week about kind of the state of Italian football at the moment, but you touched on Edin Dzeko there, who's 10 goals in 11 games or something in Serie A. Salah, who was very briefly at Chelsea, scored a hat-trick in the most recent weekend. No disrespect, but is that kind of a sign of where Serie A is? Because Dzeko would not be sitting on 10 and 12 in the Premier League right now, would he?
No, it seems to be that we joke about MLS being a graveyard for Premier League footballers or, washed up like La Liga players. Serie A, in the last couple of seasons, it has been a place where Premier League strikers who haven't found, the form that they wanted. Tevez was another one from Man City, went to Juventus, then became their main man and was the best striker in Italy for the past 3 seasons, other than Higuain. That's their sort of level at the moment. But if they are, really finding themselves at these clubs, then good on them, because if they're able to show this form week in, week out, because they've shown it for their countries as well. I mean, Salah and Dzeko are both big stars for their respective nations. It's great for them.
Yeah, and talking about that, Napoli, the centre-back Koulibaly, the rumour that just keeps on going with Chelsea, that Conte wants another centre-back in there. £75 million price tag, they reckon, is on Koulibaly. And the reason I kind of leads into that question is it's a bit of a risk, spending £75 million on a guy that's playing in Serie A at the moment.
I mean, they splashed out 30 million on David Luiz, knowing full well what he was about, but he seems to have accomplished himself in the last couple of weeks, especially with the formation change at Chelsea.
I think Conte's just gone, well, he's so bad at defending, if we could put 2 centre-backs around him somewhere.
And another 2 defenders there. So
we might be able to make up for David Luiz in the middle.
He's playing a sort of that anchor that just forays forward into midfield and does the job, picks out the passes. So he's doing all right. But Koulibaly, I mean, first season at Napoli didn't have the greatest. Second season was one of the best defenders in Italy. Now it's that third season. Is it going to be that sort of syndrome that we see that after a summer where he's touted to go and make the big money move elsewhere, is he going to continue to show the same form that he showed last year? I haven't necessarily kept an eye on him as much as I should have, but I think
as our Italian football expert.
I mean, but he could potentially make the way to the Premier League. I don't see why he shouldn't be at a Premier League club next season, because that is the step that a lot of players want to take nowadays.
Yeah, no, it does seem to be. I mean, Premier League or Serie A from, La Liga.
Yeah. They're the two. They're the benchmarks of where players want to be showing in their peak years as well, what they're all about.
Yeah. The team that we always talk about when we do our Italian football catch-up at the moment. They're definitely the most interesting team to talk about at the moment. Inter Milan. Never a dull moment in Inter Milan at the minute. So De Boer has gone. Frank De Boer has been fired.
Thank goodness.
Thank God, really. Thank God. Was that because I mean he did very well at Ajax. I thought he'd go on to do very well at Inter Milan. Where do you think it all went south for him?
When I say thank goodness, I mean for his sake, because he didn't deserve a job. You know, thrown into a ball of fire to try and draw Inter Milan side who've been mediocre for the past 5 seasons back to the heyday that they once had. It was just, you know, the impossible job. And now they've brought in Stefano Pioli, who was...
Yeah, so tell us about Pioli for, you know, us English fans. I don't know much about him.
If he was the equivalent of an English manager, I think he'd be a Mark Hughes. He's definitely shown good glimpses at certain clubs, but he's never quite hit that height. And this is his first big chance. I mean, he was manager of Lazio last season, and he got sacked, and then didn't have his contract, you know, remedied until last week by the courts in Italy, which is something that happens way too often in that country. So yeah, we'll see what he does at the helm of that club. They won 3-0 at the weekend before he came in. They beat Crotone, 3 goals in 10 minutes, classic Inter Milan. Yeah. Showing it right at the end with Icardi grabbing a couple of goals. But you know, if he does well and he can keep Inter Milan afloat and take them through to the next stage of Europa League, which will be a massive target for them, because I don't think they can necessarily qualify that way this season. That'll be their best bet of achieving a trophy. In
That's
this
it. 9th at the minute and bottom of that Europa League group.
Yeah,
I mean, won one game where they didn't deserve to win against Southampton, and spent a lot of money in the summer into Milan.
A ludicrous amount. I mean, I've touched upon certain players that not necessarily they bought in the summer, but beforehand who have been mediocre. Kondogbia is one of them. João Mario was a big summer signing. I think he's done well in that midfield, but you know, he's being ousted by the likes of Banega, who was signed on a free from Valencia, who we all know has got quality in abundance, and he's been one of their shining lights in a dismal season. So, this Inter Milan side, I mean, we always touch upon it because they're just awful, and we always know we've always been accustomed to this fact that they're a great side, and we used to watch them in the Champions League years ago, and they should be back up in the top. They should be contesting with Juventus, Milan, and the like in the Champions League, but it's just not going for them at the moment. And this is a massive restructuring session for them, and it has been going for 5 years. And you know, it's not been helped with the off-field stuff, with obviously the owners and everything, and selling the club. So they've just got to get their heads together. Maybe Pioli is that guy who steadies the ship for the next couple of seasons and, you know, just shows them the way, because they really, really need some guidance at the moment.
I hope he's not tuned in. The Italian Mark Hughes, I bet he's been called some things in his time, but that's not one of the better ones, is
I mean, I didn't want to be too harsh on him. I think that was that middle ground to pick out.
I get the picture.
Yeah.
And AC Milan after the international break for Inter as well. Is that still the biggest game in Italian football? Was it ever the biggest game?
It's the biggest derby in Italian football, definitely. I don't necessarily think it's the biggest game if it's not involving Juventus. It isn't a big game in Italy.
Really?
Nowadays. That's how it's viewed upon. You know, 34. They say 34 league championships. It's 32 or 34. You don't know which way to go about it. But and the Milan derby just shows two contrasts. I mean, Milan themselves were finishing below Inter the last couple of seasons. And people were saying, you know, they're mediocre at the moment. They're never going to get back to the heyday. But been a bit of a role reversal. And they've brought in a few young players, and like Locatelli, and obviously we know about Donnarumma in goal, who's been a revelation. And just credit goes to Vincenzo Montella, who was not given a fair shot at Sampdoria, who was at Fiorentina a couple of years ago as well. So he's really, really showing his quality as well as a manager at the moment. And if they beat Inter Milan in the derby, which I'm sure they will, and I probably put good money on it, and you watch them lose 3-0 now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They could contest for the league title, definitely, Milan. It's just been mad how I completely wrote them off at the start of the season, and now they've just young players, fresh blood, good players that they have at their disposal, just showing it and turning it on every week.
Yeah, Inter Milan must be livid as well. They thought that them and AC were just down there together, but
I mean, yeah,
maybe not.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Yeah.
And while we've got you here as well, it's an international break. The Italy squad was announced. I think we have the line-up for you here. Just have a quick look at that. Pretty much as you were. We looked at it the last international break as well. Any surprises there, other than the fact that it's a complete slant? I don't know if that's like an Italian. I think that's
just the way to go.
Oh no, yeah, because that bit's written normally. So I think it's just Italians trying to be a bit jazzy.
A bit jazzy. I mean, Marchisio has been ruled out at the moment because he's had that knee injury for so long, and I think Juventus want to detract him away from from these friendlies as well. They're, friendlies when it comes to this part of November and you're playing Liechtenstein, you don't want to see Marquisio, who's been out for 9 months.
Yeah.
Coming in Germany, obviously a different outfit, and the world champions would be a great test. But it's great for these young players. I mean, one player for Milan who has come in now is Lapadula, my namesake, who has been brilliant for them. He was actually signed from Juventus in the summer. He's only scored a couple of goals, but he is just he enamors what Milan are about at the moment. Young, fresh, really attacking as well. And he's come in and he's going to take his place alongside those strikers who scream mediocrity. That man there, definitely.
That is a rubbish list of strikers.
Rubbish list. No, Belotti's pretty good. He's having a really, really good season with Torino. Gabbiadini, not so much. Immobile showing himself again at Lazio. But this, you'd expect Italy to grind out a 1-0 against Liechtenstein in a friendly and just, have constant change in players as well. But with Germany, it's going to be a different proposition. Italy have always had that, that knack to play against Germany and never to lose against them. Obviously drew in the quarterfinals at the Euros and were knocked out on penalties, but still have got really, really good statistics when it comes up against them. And I don't know what it's going to be like in the friendly, because if he continues to persist with the players that have been playing in Italy and who've been quite mediocre, especially at the 2014 World Cup, is that showing a difference? Is that showing versatility? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the manager does up against those teams. But there are some players with some shining lights. Cataldi as well, Bernardeschi, Politano, all young players. Sansoni obviously playing his trade in La Liga.
And you can always trust the back five.
You can. I thought Barzagli was ruled out though because he dislocated his shoulder at the weekend.
Possibly.
So
Marquisio's out as well.
I mean, that's the Italians. Late to everything. So
exactly.
It wrong.
Right. Thank you very much for our Italian expert. You're staying with us, and we'll be back in just a few moments. Football aside, how are you doing as a person, as a human being?
Marvellous.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Football, no.
Football, no. Yeah. Football, no. I mean, impressive to make Manchester United look okay.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. I went back for it, and first half was better than worse than the second half, but it was just shambles, terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ibrahimovic. I did put him back in my fantasy football side as well before the game. So.
Oh really? That shows confidence in Swansea.
Yeah,
you obviously looked at the fixtures and went, oh, well, they got Swansea away.
Yeah.
So. Brilliant. Right, we'll carry on talking about Swansea in a sec. Just a quick reminder that poll 2 is underway on Twitter at the moment at FanTVUK. Can we have a look at the results so far? This is where they say no in my ear. No, we can't. So fascinating. But no, that poll is still going. It is following Hillary's shocking failure to become president. What was the biggest dead cert not to come off in football? Is it Portugal versus Greece, Euro 2004, Arsenal Birmingham in the League Cup, or Milan Liverpool at half time? And any others, tell us as well on Twitter at FanTVUK. What do you reckon, chaps? Out of those three, or any others that spring to mind?
You know the one I'm going to pick.
Arsenal, Birmingham, League
Milan,
Cup.
Liverpool. Arsenal, Birmingham League Cup was shambles. I still can't believe that we didn't beat them that day.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, absolutely
I'm
ridiculous.
just going to go with Gerrard slipping. I think it's a genius. It's a great answer.
Brilliant. Well, I can tell you the Liverpool-Milan game is winning the poll at the moment, so happier Gerrard memories there. Just unfortunately 7 years previously. Not like a Liverpool fan to dwell on something that happened a while ago. We do like to bring up 2005 a fair bit. So Swansea, 5 points from 11 games.
Yep, great. Yep.
Yep. Which I'm no mathematician, but that's really bad. That.
Yeah, we scraped a win against Burnley first game. Sorry, Jack. And then a point against Chelsea, which that's pretty good going in the scheme of things. And then Watford for the other point. But I don't know. We've just really lost our way. We used to play like this passing football. We've taken that to a new level where you don't really have to pass to somebody on your side. So it's just pass it.
Just have fun.
Yeah, just pass it to anybody.
Just have fun.
Quite
just
unlucky.
pass and smile.
Yeah,
quite unlucky against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, though.
Yeah, we were, and like even when you had a man sent off, we still couldn't get that final.
I thought you were going to score. It was Barrow was the geezer. He had 2 or 3
good.
opportunities that he didn't.
Yeah,
take.
well, we've normally got quite good wings, like playing Barrow, Montero. Montero's just come back into the game, but now he's broken a fingernail, so he's out for another 10 weeks.
Yeah, he's some bad hand injury apparently. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're always using your hand at left wing.
Yeah. So I don't understand that one.
Always calling for offside. I mean, that's it.
But yeah, it's we just don't. We've got a new manager and he's tinkered quite a lot. Somebody plays well, not in the next side. It's just odd.
Yeah.
Really odd.
I mean, did Gwydlin get a bit of a raw deal when losing his job when he did?
Yeah, I mean, when he was appointed, like the fans didn't really know who he was. It just looked like he'd been wheeled in from an old folks' home.
Yeah,
with a fag in his mouth. And then, like apparently he's got a better points to game ratio than Mourinho had before the weekend game. So he was doing all right. But then American owners come in. They want an American boy in charge. We've now got John Joe's dad in charge of us. Yeah, it's just strange. And normally you get a bit of a peak when new manager comes in, but I think that's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
With that point against Watford.
That's normally you base your whole relegation battle on that initial surge of points when the new manager comes in.
Yeah.
Didn't quite happen for you. We will come back to Swansea in just a few moments' time. But now we are going to have our latest regular feature where we get an update on everything happening over in France in the French League. It's Nathan Staples. Come on, Nathan Staples. What a name, by the way.
Le rapport des matchs.
Hello, Nathan. Are you there?
Hi, Toby. How are you?
Yeah, you're not French.
No, I'm not French at all.
Right, well, that's all we have from Nathan for this week. He'll be back next week when hopefully he will be French. No, you're Skyping us from Mansfield. So where does your French knowledge come from?
Mainly watching French. I'm a little bit of an obsessive with French football. I've been for the last 4 or 5 years now. I don't know where it's born from. I watch too much football, probably. That's probably where it's burrowed into my mind. But yeah, it's the passion and the French game. It's a strange one, but I know it's a really good league to watch when you do get into it.
Le Passion, I believe.
Yes,
I believe.
Merci.
That's all the French you'll be hearing on the sofa this evening. That's about as good as it gets. Nathan Staples as well. We were discussing in the break. Is a fantastic name.
I was born with it, surprisingly.
It's funny how names work like that.
I'm glad you like it.
Do you have business cards yet?
I'm producing them as we speak. Yes. I'll get all my names and my Twitter feeds and everything on there. Yeah, definitely.
Love it.
That's such a fantastic name.
Right. Let's talk about the French League. Just before the international break started, were there any standout results in France?
Well, yeah, the big one was Nice losing their first game of the season against Caen. Now, that might seem a little strange for our English audience, but Nice have been terrific with Mario Balotelli in the side, which is still a strange thing to say, but they only managed 4 shots on target in this one, and they really struggled against a Caen side that we've been tipping for relegation. They haven't looked as good this season. They scored a penalty early on, and they had a couple of good chances. So Nice have stumbled a little bit as other teams like Paris Saint-Germain, who have not had the best start to the season, and Monaco as well behind them, are starting to slowly catch them up. So the title race is starting to hot up in Liga.
Want to touch on Balotelli whilst we've got our Italian football expert here as well. Wasn't you just? I was about to say you play with yourself, but that sounds really.
Didn't realise this last time show. Okay.
We're past 9 o'clock. No, Balotelli not in the Italy squad. Were there people calling for him, or have they given up on Balotelli?
I mean, not necessarily in the media. There were a few murmurings of certain outlets saying, he should be, regarded as a player who can come in and
we
who
saw that list of strikers.
I mean, I would have taken him. I would have thought, someone who's played himself into a lot of form recently. Obviously, is he top scorer in France at the moment?
No, it's Cavani at the moment. He scored 6 and 6 though, so he's in really good form and he's playing well as a senior figure in that Nice team. He's really leading the line really well.
Well, that's the thing. Tell us a bit more. I mean, we get the reports over here because our media still loves Balotelli, obviously.
Who doesn't?
Exactly, who doesn't? Every time he scores, it's straight on the main page of the BBC Sport website. I mean, the pull he still has is amazing. But it seems like he has really taken to that team, and he does actually. It's like the extra responsibility has almost brought out a Balotelli we didn't know existed.
Yeah, well, it reminds me a little bit of another story we saw last season, which was Hatem Ben Arfa at Nice, and he really relished that senior role within a young team that has a lot of interesting young players in it. So it seems like he stepped into that mould really comfortably. They lost Germain last season as well, who they had on loan from Monaco, who scored a lot of their goals. So they really needed to replace the goal scorer. They've got a little bit of money now, Nice. They've got a good manager in Lucien Favre as well, who understands what to get from this team. But it seems to be those healing waters around the Allianz Riviera that are really making Balotelli a really solid player, which he should really be at this point of his career. We expected a lot more from him, didn't we, really? But that childish attitude has slowly seemed to ebb away now. He's got that more senior role at Nice, yeah.
I don't like it. I like Mario when he's being Mario.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's scoring goals.
Yeah.
Go sell us some fireworks.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not convinced
boring
about
now,
this.
isn't he?
What have the French done to him? Give us back our Mario. It's round the corner. It's the calm before the storm, I hope. Something big's going to go down with Mario in the near future. We touched on it briefly, but Nice obviously were top of the league, the surprise packages in many ways. Do you just feel like the title race is going to start taking shape? We talked about Juventus now being 4 points clear in Serie A. Do you think once Paris Saint-Germain find their groove, we're looking at the inevitable again this year?
Yeah, and it's strange to say that Paris Saint-Germain haven't really found the groove. We've seen it in the Champions League a little bit. They've not quite hit the heights of what they've had last couple of seasons. They need to keep improving. The 4-0 scoreline on Sunday makes it seem like it was a very easy result, but Rennes gifted them a couple of very easy goals. But they're slowly coming back into form. There were still little murmurs of discontent under Unai Emery. They're not fully clicking as a team at the moment, but there's undeniable talent there, isn't there? And I mean, we've been complaining about Edinson Cavani not being quite at the level he could be, but he scored 11 goals, 12 goals this season now. So they're going to come into it, and you can't really count them out. And Monaco have been impressive as well. They've got a much deeper squad than many anticipated, and they'll be there and thereabouts. So it's starting to heat up. The worry is now, can Nice keep the momentum they started with, or are the other big teams with big money players starting to pull them back? We wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I hope so, for the sake of the neutral. You'd take that, wouldn't you? A striker who's not having a great season and scored 11
I'd take
or 12
goals.
Yeah.
In total at the moment.
12 across the board, across the board with the us. What's the attitude in France to the international break? Because we have to watch England, which is why nobody enjoys the international break. They get to watch a very young, exciting French squad. Do they look forward to national breaks? And also, we do have to turn off the Premier League for 2 weeks, whereas, League One hasn't got the same appeal worldwide as well. Do they look forward to international breaks a bit more than perhaps we do?
Possibly. There's just as much pressure in France on the French team as there is in England, and they've been okay in qualifying so far. They've won 2 games so far, and they've drawn 1, and they've looked good, and at times they've looked average. Like you've mentioned, they've got some very exciting players in that squad, and they keep adding to them. I mean, people have seen Ousmane Dembele at Dortmund, who was excellent at Rennes last season. There's Kingsley Coman. There's Nabil Fekir, who's at Lyon. He's a terrific young player. Then you add the likes of the ones we know, which is Pogba, Griezmann. They've got so many different attacking options that they should be a really entertaining side, but they're not. Again, they're still much like they were in the Euros, where they were still trying to find the right formation to fit in Griezmann in the right sort of position, which he should be in the middle of the park, and fitting in Payet and trying to fit in Martial. that's the problem that Didier Deschamps has, is integrating all these great attacking players they have and making a succinct side that can really challenge at that top level. But the French really love the international break. I'm not so sure. They panic as much as probably we do. I think that they worry that it might be more exciting, at least because they've got more interesting players, but there's just as much of a parry for an upset as there is here in England.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Nathan, mate, that's all we've got time for, but thank you very, very much for Skyping us.
No problem at all. Thank you.
I'll see you next week, I suppose.
Yes, next week, hopefully.
Thank you very much. That was La Rapport. Well, that was the word.
Le rapport. Match.
That's what I was trying to do. La Rapport. There we go. We're getting there. I sounded Mexican. It's ridiculous. Right, we will be discussing Swansea and Arsenal with the fans of the Lime Green Sofa after the break. Maybe more Arsenal. No, we'll talk about Swansea as well. Hi there, we have got Gareth and Gianluca. I think Gareth is English, whereas the Italian is Gianluca. I think it's the same thing, isn't it, essentially? Just
See.
Yeah, see. We've got them both here on the Lime Green Sofa, and we're going to play a game with you.
Yeah.
We're going to be...
I hope it's not Twister.
Yeah, it is Twister. And bring out the board. Yeah, why not Twister? Why don't you want to be tangled up with me and Gianluca for 15 minutes? Exactly, be good for the viewing figures, and we could use them. God knows we could use them. Right now, we're going to play a game that we call What's the Peter Ramage? There he is. There is Peter Ramage in all his glory. So it stands for What's the Damage, because it started off as prices for things, and then we just kind of started making it up. So really, it doesn't really apply today because it's nothing to do with cost. But still,
marvellous.
Exactly, it should be fine. Exactly.
Twister it is.
So as it's the international break, we're kind of seeing where teams are at the moment. So it's on teams' current goal difference today, which is tough. But as we discussed in the break, we don't expect you to tell us their goal difference. We are going to make you have a guess though, just because. Yeah, I'd expect you to know, frankly.
Why not?
So let's go. You're playing against each other as well because you're rival fans. Fans of different teams. And also,
Right.
Gianluca told me in the advert he hates you. So
Right.
there was that as well.
Yeah.
Right, so let's get a look at the first one. Hull. So we will give you their goal difference, but any guesses?
-11.
What's that?
-11.
That's a pretty good guess.
-4.
It's not a good guess. It's minus 14. Minus 14.
I got the 4 right. Come
you
on.
got the 4 right.
Yeah.
And you got the 1 right. Together,
Yeah.
should have played together. If Gianluca
Minus
didn't
41.
hate you so much, this could have been lovely.
Amazing.
Right, so we're going to start with minus 14, and our next one is Sunderland. Sunderland. Higher or lower? Eric Dyer or Leonardo Ulloa?
I'm going to go lower.
That's what I was thinking straight away.
I don't know if that means that way or that way.
No.
I'll let you know after
More
the comeback.
minuses. More minuses.
More minuses.
Yeah. Like minus 21 or something.
Nah, minus 16. It'll be close.
Minus 16, you reckon minus 21?
21.
Minus 12.
Ah,
Both wrong.
wow.
Both wrong. Although right with direct, no, wrong with direction.
wrong
as
with
well.
directions.
Rubbish.
No.
Really bad.
That's
that.
pretty bad. But we both lost, so we both win.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the whole
I
point of
hope
the
you're all
game.
keeping up at home. No wonder the ratings are bad. Right, let's get the next one on.
Oh, come on.
Here we go. Swansea. Do you know your goal difference?
I think it's higher.
So better.
Yes. I say minus 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to have to side with him because it's his team. I'll probably say higher as well. I'll probably say a minus 9, just to change it up a little bit.
It's minus 8, isn't it?
Minus 11. But you did go the right way. You did go the right
I said
way.
minus 11.
He said minus 11.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, did you?
I said minus 9.
You said, okay.
Yeah.
Well done you.
1-0.
Spot on. Never doubted you. Never doubted you.
Yeah.
But you both went the right direction, so you're still drawing. Is that 1-1, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get the next one up. Rotherham.
Can we at least know where they are in the table?
Down near the bottom.
I'm going to say worse off, like minus 18.
Yeah, I'm going to say Ulloa. So probably minus 15.
Minus 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, Jean-Luc, you've got to go first next time. I think he's just waiting to see what you do.
Yeah. Very much.
I'm sure I get more points because I'm nearer.
Yeah, you are getting nearer, but that's not how the game works, mate. Come on, keep up. It's,
We should get a buzzer. We should get a buzzer every time.
Well, I was trying to introduce a thing where you got Eric Dyer's face on one side and but budget constraints, what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even get my own sting, so if you can't get your own paddle boards,
I don't even get paid.
No.
That's how.
Neither do I. At least we've got something to relate to.
Yeah, you genuinely don't get paid, and you're on it more than I am. Right, the next team.
Ooh.
Cardiff City.
I'll go first this time.
You go first. You're minus 21.
It's minus 21. I'm going to
played more games in the Championship, though, haven't they?
Yeah. I'm going to say just higher, so like minus 19.
I don't want to say that Cardiff have... I'm going to go minus 23. I can't support Cardiff in any way. So.
Well, it's minus 11, so you lost the game, but you kept your dignity. So
Did I?
Many would say you didn't have the dignity when you first stepped onto the sofa. So to lose that would have been to do. I think that's it. I think that was a round of... there's 2 more apparently. Keep up. So are you 3-2 ahead now? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think so.
There's no winners in this game.
Not at all.
Shrewsbury. Struggling as well.
I'd say Ulloa lower.
So you're going to reckon...
So like minus 20.
Minus 20.
Minus 15. They're going to be around that, I reckon.
Minus 13. You're quite good at that bit.
Yeah, but you don't get it for that.
No, you get nothing. No prizes. No prizes for that. Probably a flaw in the game there somewhere, but we're not going to address it. Right, here we go.
I just made it. Challenge me.
I mean, I'm going to say higher. Ulloa higher. Ulloa higher.
Ulloa higher.
Eric Dyer higher. Eric Dyer higher. Game's getting to me.
So you're saying 0?
Yeah.
Where do you reckon from minus 13?
Minus 12.
Minus 9. Minus 9.
So I'm closer.
Yeah, but again, you... No,
you're not. Yeah, no, but I won
you weren't close to that time.
I won
you was
that
close
one.
to that time.
Yeah.
That was the most confusing round we've ever played of that. That was what's the Peter Ravage.
And that's the end of that game ever.
I mean, there would be no winners. A bit like the American election, there's no winners.
No winners.
There's no winners
No
in that
winners.
game. No winners. in
Just
that game.
2016 in general.
I
no
normally
winners.
say play along at home, but who the hell was going to keep up with that? I don't know what was going on, and I was hosting the
I think that
thing.
was the slowest game we've ever played as well.
It was. Normally it's quite a quick
fire,
game, but
yeah.
I just didn't know what was happening. I don't know who won. I don't know what the
I
score
won.
was.
It's 2 on a bounce for me now.
Is it?
Yeah, nothing to be proud of, but
It isn't. I wouldn't put it on my CV. I wouldn't put it on my LinkedIn
I would,
profile.
I would.
Right, let's get back to your lot. We'll come back to Swansea in a bit, but we could talk about Arsenal as well.
Mhm.
North London derby.
It's disappointing.
It was disappointing. Be honest.
Disappointing from an Arsenal side, definitely. I thought Spurs were excellent, which isn't something.
Did
I'd
they
like to
surprise
thought.
you?
With their formation, definitely, but not in the way that they defended. They were very, very diligent, very, very diligent. Even like Alderweireld, who's one of the best centre-backs in England, let alone in Europe, was out, obviously. And we thought, 3 at the back. They put Eric Dyer, who's been playing midfield a lot of the time. And,
Or as you call Eric Dyer, Leonardo Ajala.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably scored the same amount of goals this season.
Yeah.
So that's why I get confused. But yeah, they were brilliant. They set up really, really well. Obviously, Wenger has never beaten Pochettino when he's been manager of Spurs, which is 5 games and counting now, which is getting a little bit. It's obviously for 11 years where we didn't lose to Spurs was great, and now it's sort of tide is a little bit turning and not getting wins, but still finishing above them in the league. I just thought Spurs definitely deserved the draw. We didn't create enough on the day. A lot of players misfiring. Alexis Sanchez wasn't at his best, and you bring on Olivier Giroud, and you don't play the ball in the air. You keep playing it on the floor. It was very, very confusing the way we had tactics. And don't get me started on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who was absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
That's not how not getting started works. If you then go on to tell us
No.
what's the point that
I mean,
you
that's
wanted to
it. That's all I will say about him tonight. Because don't get me.
I saw a tweet earlier about the election that said speechless, and I was like, technically speechless would be don't send a tweet at all, wouldn't it? Really, it doesn't really work. We have a Spurs fan joining us on Skype. I'm sorry to say, Gianluca.
right.
Is it Stuart, or have I made that up? No.
No, bang on.
How are you, Stuart? You right?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very, very well. We're talking about the North London derby from the weekend. What did you make of it? Gianluca was impressed by your lot.
I thought it was a pretty good game, quite enjoyable. Arsenal had their moments, Spurs had their moments, and fairly even at the end, I think.
Yeah, and that defence, that Tottenham defence, you're always going to have a chance in every game, aren't you? Because no one's going to score 2 against you, really.
You have a bit, doesn't it, with an own goal, so...
Sorry, you went really scary there. Your face morphed, and then you snapped back to reality. Sorry, just make your point again.
It doesn't help out when you give the opposition a goal start, does it?
No, it doesn't. That wasn't ideal. Also, I want to get you on. We want to talk about the offside decision. So there's been more controversy and more complaints regarding the offside decision recently. This whole interfering with play aspect of it. It's just too confusing, isn't it? Nobody knows whether you're interfering with play or not at the moment.
It is kind of an issue. I mean, if Kevin Wimmer hadn't headed it past his own goalkeeper, then it would have gone to an Arsenal player who would have been offside at that point. But because it didn't get to him, he wasn't offside. So, I mean, this is confusing. And, the players have to make a split-second decision. And they're not to know whether or not the player is offside. So, surely he's interfering. But what can you do?
What did you make of the decision? And I mean, it's a difficult one when you see a guy run up and header it in his own top corner. I mean, it was an awful own goal. To feel any sympathy for him.
Or a great one.
Or a great finish, depending on what side you're supporting. But at the same time, by the letter of the law, the goal shouldn't have counted because there were players in an offside position. I mean, that was such a confusing aspect of it.
I mean, I think the rule changed over the summer. There were quite a few rule changes in the book anyway, and it's all become quite confusing. People just not know, the judgment is clouded at the moment of whether certain things are right, certain things are wrong, and I was watching it. I was in the stadium, so I didn't realise about any offside decision until after the game and checking Twitter and everyone going mental, BT Sport, and just going on about it, how much of an offside decision it was. And yes, it is interfering with play because also those players are in the sight of the goalkeeper running in front of him. Both Koscielny and Sanchez are both at that point as well. So if it didn't, like the gentleman said, if Kevin Wimmer didn't head it into his own net and there wouldn't have been any doubt that they would have both been offside and they both would have not counted as a goal. So for now, we'll just have to take it as it comes for how Clattenburg and the rest of his linesmen perceive that situation, because for me, it wasn't an offside in the way that it manifested.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's kind of an idea of how strange that new rule is. Look at the fact that watching that game, and nobody was putting their hand up when he's headed it in his own top corner, going, "Oh, those two players behind him were offside." That was a stupid.
It's hard to police. I mean, if you don't see it, if you can't see where they are on the pitch, it's. I mean, everybody's great at voicing their opinion on Twitter after it, but it's not going to make a blind bit of difference.
No, not at all. And there's also always the talk of giving the striker the edge, when it, giving them the benefit of the doubt when they're in those certain situations, if they are straying on with part of their body. That it just changed every week. Everyone perceives it in different ways.
We've got to take a break, but Stuart, thank you very much for getting in touch with us as well, and well done on a point away at the Emirates that wasn't looking too hopeful before the game kicked off, mate. So thank you very much. We'll speak to you soon. Best of luck. Try and enjoy the international break. We'll be back in a sec. Hi there, we have got a Swansea and Arsenal fan on the lime green sofa, and we have another Arsenal fan joining us on Skype as well to talk all things Arsenal. Are you there? Hello mate, how are you doing, all right?
I'm good, thanks. You?
That is a very, very snazzy wallpaper you've got there, if I may say so.
It's a boudoir.
That's the curtains.
Oh, they're curtains. Ah, brilliant. So sorry I insulted them. We were talking about the Arsenal game on the weekend, the Spurs game. Same question I asked Gianluca. Were you surprised by Spurs? They went into it having not won in 6. You'd gone having not lost since the opening game of the season. On paper, I thought it was a great chance for Arsenal to put a bed to that little run of not beating Spurs, but no, wasn't to be.
Yeah, with the injuries they had of Alderweireld and the doubt of Harry Kane's starting, they were there for the taking. It just our players went into the game where they weren't up for it, and Tottenham players were.
Is that fair?
Yeah, 100% agree. There were certain individuals that just didn't perform on the day, I don't think. Obviously, we had a few that were injured outs at the end of the game, so Bellerin, Monreal, and Walcott. I think Walcott was very off that whole game. Alex Iwobi, I'm obviously a big fan of his. I've waxed lyrical about him on this show before, but again, I think just the whole spectacle got to him a little bit, especially that chance that he had at the end of the first half when he should have scored. He just got to put his foot through it. Top corner, that's it. 1-0 going into the break.
Which is something we discussed about Iwobi in the past, that end product.
End product is his problem. His interchange and play with the players that he has around him, Ozil, Sanchez, Walcott and whatnot, is fantastic. It's just when he gets into that 18-yard box and then he just sort of just throws it all away. Yeah, he basically bottles it, yeah.
Have we seen inklings of the same flaws that have troubled Arsenal for a few years. Just little hints of them. The Middlesbrough draw, you know, struggling to break down a team that are very organised at home. Not getting up for a big game like they did with Spurs the other day. Are there just little nooks and crannies that you're seeing that are a hint at maybe the Arsenal that have upset over the last 8 years all their fans?
I hope not. I think going into these two big games, obviously Spurs before the international break, Manchester United after, if you'd have said to me 4 points from those two games, who would you have preferred to beat? It's 100% Man United I want to beat. I think we've beaten Tottenham enough in recent years to know that we are top dog in North London. Not only North London, but London as well. And going to Manchester United, where we haven't won in 10 years at Old Trafford, against the Mourinho side, who Wenger has never beaten in a competitive game, that is the game that we need to win. And you've got to show your supremacy in those sort of games as well. If you want to be title challengers, you want to beat those people, or those teams that have been talked about all summer, with the Manchester United who do spend the money, and Arsenal who spent the money late on in the transfer window. So that would be the game that I'd like to come out with all 3 points.
Yeah. On Skype, sorry, I didn't catch your name on Skype, by the way.
It's Ryan.
Ryan, mate, thank you very much for Skyping us in. Do you agree, and do you take the point there? Have you seen just a few inklings that maybe there's a bit of the Arsenal that you can see the reason they've not won titles in recent years in the Middlesbrough game and the Spurs game?
Since we've done Chelsea, since that game, the Burnley game, Middlesbrough, even at Sunderland, even though the result in the end was 4-1, it took Sunderland to get back into the game for our players to wake up and kill the game. And it's frustrating because we, as fans, we know these players are capable of killing games. We've seen it in 20 minutes against Chelsea, and then last season against Man United.
Still only 2 points off the top, though.
It's consistency with the players and the manager.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we're going to let you go, so we're going to finish on Swansea. But where are Arsenal going to finish this season?
Beginning of the season, I'm hoping for top 2, but we've got sort of format and consistency. The performances out. Otherwise, we'll be dropping down the league again to like 4th, which would be perfect for Wenger.
It's not all that doom and gloom. Come on.
I know. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
2 points off the top. We're not exactly wallowing in 7th or 8th and trying to get into the league places.
You've got Liverpool walking home all their home games. You've got Chelsea now smashing teams since we've beat them. And you've got City, they're going to be up there. And we're dropping points, and we should be not dropping points. Like Middlesbrough at home, we should be winning most of our home games.
Man City did it at the weekend as well, though. They dropped points at home to Middlesbrough, winnable game. You know, everyone's going to drop points over the course of the season. I just don't think we can throw in the towel straight away.
But the difference between us and City, the players are giving more to the team than the shirt in them games. We can't even score against Borough. At least Man City did. Man City have got a killer striker.
Controversial to
clutching at those straws. I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Mate, thank you very much for Skyping us in. No, we value your opinion.
No,
it's interesting to hear an Arsenal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear an Arsenal fan negative at the moment, though. Fair enough. Thank you very much, mate. Enjoy the rest of your night.
And you.
Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, very surprised by that. I have to admit. I mean, the way that Arsenal are going at the minute.
Well, at least yeah.
Let's move on to. I think he just had a bad fall.
Those curtains got to him.
Exactly, yeah. Got to him. Very fancy curtains, wardrobe, whatever it was. I liked it. I was all for it. So Swansea. Let's go back to them. I mean, you take...
Yes, let's.
You see an Arsenal... Oh, apparently the screen's now broken. It's going to stay like that for the rest of the evening. Brilliant. It's not distracting at all. It's not like it's the brightest setting that you can put it on. But I mean, sitting here hearing an Arsenal fan complain about the fact that they're 2 points off top at the moment, it's not bad, is it?
No, but I mean, Arsenal fans tend to sort of foresee the future that they're not going to finish top, but it's a bit early for giving in the towel now.
We're just spoiled. That's the whole thing. Been used to being, top 4. Obviously, everyone bangs on about top 4 trophy and whatnot. I haven't finished outside top 4 in 20 years. It's mad. Obviously, we've only won the league title 3 times, and ideally we want to be able to win it a couple more. There were some certain seasons where we should have won it, but I just think it's absolutely ludicrous. We will finish in the top 4, and I think we'll finish in the top 2 at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think we've got every chance.
But we don't need to talk about Arsenal anymore. We need to talk about Swansea.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I keep drifting.
Exactly. No,
Let's depress it.
So I mean, we talked the Wenger old question of Wenger in, Wenger out. He's been there for God knows how long now. But have Swansea been a bit quick to get rid of managers in recent years? I mean, Brendan Rodgers was out of your hands. He obviously went to Liverpool.
He did a bit of a Judas on us.
Gary Monk now doing a brilliant job at Leeds.
Yeah, and I mean...
Laudrup won the League Cup.
All right. Laudrup, we won't talk about Laudrup because he's a bit of an anomaly. But Monk, he kind of lost the dressing room quite a bit. So, and there was players openly talking about it, and apparently they were fighting on training fields. So